Easy Rider 2. The Screaming White Eagle. Story by Kenneth John Bemis. From an original story based on Easy Rider, written by Dennis Hopper, Peter Fonda, Terry Southern. Full story version, unabridged. July 30th, 1999. Copyright, 1996. Kenneth John Bemis. It was in the fall of 1969 in North Florida on Old Highway 90, west of Defuniak Springs in Walton County. Wyatt and Billy had turned from Highway 10, taking Highway 285 north to Mossy Head, then turn east on Highway 90. They were en route to visit a Confederate War memorial before traveling on to Marianna, Florida, where they intended to spend the night. This is the roadway common to where the incident occurred in the parting footage of Easy Rider. Wyatt dies of his injuries while Billy survived, however, in and out of comatose while a ward of the state, residing in Florida state hospitals for over 29 years. This begins just prior to where Billy is shot down. The two men in an old blue Chevrolet pickup truck come alongside and suggest that he get a haircut. Billy flips them the bird as the passenger carelessly pulls the trigger of the shotgun, wounding Billy. Wyatt circles back to see what happened, finding his comrade alive, but badly injured. Wyatt covers him with his leather jacket, then sets out for help. The two men double back and end up shooting at and killing Wyatt. As the point of view ascends towards the heavens, observing the Captain America's special chopper crash and burn, there is heard the scream of an American bald eagle. Below, a 60 Buick is observed, stopping suddenly to assist Billy, who lays alongside the roadway. A young teenage farm girl and her father are seen from above as they race to assist Billy. The eagle's scream is heard as it descends, encircling the pair, and they look upward to behold a huge, pure white eagle observing them. They appear awe-stricken as the great bird lands upon a limb of a nearby tree. The tree branch partially shatters and falls away as the weight of the large bird comes to rest, disturbing leaves and small branches with the flutter of its awesome 12-foot wings. It comes to roost with a loud shriek as its eyes peer over the injured Billy. The farmer runs up the road to where Wyatt crashed. As the farm girl tenderly watches over Billy, the farmer returns and the two struggle to place Billy in the rear seat of the Buick. They enter the car and race down the roadway in the direction of Defuniak Springs Hospital. The car slows as it approaches the scene where Wyatt went down, then accelerates quickly out of sight. Billy spends a few years at the Chattahoochee State Hospital, in and out of a coma. He would awaken in a heated sweat, screaming fearfully, painfully, only to slip back into a still silence. Eventually he is moved to the Broward County-based hospital in Miramar, Florida. He remains in critical but stable condition, remaining a ward of the state, as no one inquiries about him for over 29 years. Daytime, today, Florida State Hospital at Miramar, Florida. The room is dimly lit for the morning sunlight that dances through the tree branches outside the window. The blinds are partially drawn. Billy is at rest in one of the 6 beds in the room. 3 other beds are occupied while 2 remain empty. Jessica Severson enters the room. She is a young woman who has taken a special interest in Billy as a patient. She trims his graying beard and had braided his very long crop of hair, tending to him daily, washing him, speaking softly to him as he rests. Unconsciously, she has been developing a deep, compelling compassion for him, a bonding. This is observed by hospital staff, as she slaves over him, somehow convinced that he will come around one day. He is her very first concern when she arrives for work, daily. Jessica is preparing to take her morning break in the staff lounge. Before leaving the room, she tends to the other patients, fluffing their pillows while changing their bed linen. She leaves the room and moves through the hallway, greeting other staff members gingerly. As she passes, she opens the locked door of the staff lounge with her security key, enters, moving toward the coffee machine where she draws hot water into a cup as she prepares herself a cup of herbal tea, in a colorful, ceramic mug. A middle-aged, Afro-American is seated at the table reading the Morning Sun Sentinel newspaper. "Good morning, Jesse. How are you on this fine day? Have you read the paper yet?" He opens the newspaper to the middle section, folding it to expose a specific article and hands it to Jesse. Florida to close state hospital at Miramar, budget cuts force action. "My God." There is a lingering silence. Her assistant comments, "That means us go. According to that, we only have a month left here, then it's done. We join the ranks of the unemployed. I have been here 16 years, too." Jesse adds, It doesn't surprise me. They could convert it into a care center for chemically dependent youth. You'd think they would see. They treat it like a crime when it's a disease. Lock them up then complain about overcrowded jails. God damn it. He adds, they don't give a damn girl. They are rich. It's a rich man's world. Their children will never see places like this. It's apathy. Like Jesus said, they know not what they do. The attendant gets up, leaving the lounge area. Jessica remains seated sipping her tea, reading the news article, shaking her head to the negative as the story unfolds. The state says funds will be diverted to aid in other welfare and education budgets. God, what about these poor people? What about my Billy? Damn them. Jessica stands, moves to the sink and rinses her mug. Then after placing it on a hook she leaves the lounge in a huff. Taking the newspaper section with her, she snaps off the lights just before leaving, as the security door closes with a click. The head nurse, Mrs. Meyer, is seated behind the nurse's station, reviewing patient records. There are a number of potted plants about the area. Jessica speaks with her. Mrs. Meyer, do you see what they are doing? Look at this. Florida to close state hospital at Miramar. What are they going to do with these people? Mrs. Meyer responds. There was a meeting in Tallahassee a year ago. Someone mentioned that funds could be diverted to the school system. Anything I had to say fell on deaf ears. Some will be released to welfare, others will go to rest homes. Are you worried about finding another job? I can get you into Broward General. You will be given the best recommendation. Jesse answers, I really don't know what to think about it right now. What about Billy? What will they do? Just put him to sleep? Pull the plug? Mrs. Meyer, Billy the kid? He will probably go on to county. He's not a war veteran. I can't find much on his history, not even a last name. It's the darndest thing. Nobody has ever inquired about his whereabouts. The poor bastard. All things must come to pass, Jessica. Don't you worry. Things will work out. Billy is experiencing a violent flashback. He has these from time to time. He may see the brutal murder of his friends, George Hanson or Wyatt. He may meet up with the aliens that George spoke of years before. Sometimes it's things that transpired during his youth or another flashback LSD experience. The focus is on what he may be experiencing, the action that takes place in his mind as it happens. His body twitches. Beads of sweat form on his brow. He shakes violently. The apparatus surrounding him is disturbed and falls to the floor as the station alarm sounds. At the nurse's station, the bedside alert buzzer sounds. There is a lamp on the room monitor board. Mrs. Meyer is startled and Jessica looks to see which room it is coming from. An attendant is running down the hall. Jessica calls out, "That's Billy's room." Billy, Mrs. Meyer and Jessica leave the station and rush to his bedside. The attendant had reached the room first and has begun to place things in order. Mrs. Meyer inspects the apparatus and puts the oxygen feed tubes in place. Billy is breathing hard and deep. Jessica wets a washcloth and wipes his brow and face, carefully tending to him. Mrs. Meyer uses her stethoscope while the attendant tests his blood pressure. Mrs. Meyer states, "It appears that he was having a very bad dream. That was the first action we've had out of him in quite a while. He should be okay now." Jesse comments, "He might be sensing that something is changing. Maybe he is coming out of it." She snaps her fingers. "Do it, Billy, come out and see us. Can you do that for me?" The attendant and Mrs. Meyer leave the room. Jessica stays by his side, falling upon him, sobbing a little, as she embraces him with gentle concern. Sometime later after nightfall, Jessica has gone home for the day. She resides with her widowed mother about 3 miles from the hospital. The chimes on the wall clock sound 11 times. She is preparing to retire for the evening as she moves about the modest, well-kept home. Mrs. Sevison is in the living room watching the news at 11. The area is dimly lit. Jessie showers and prepares for bed, brushing her teeth. She peers at herself in a mirror. She is wearing a purple terry cloth robe as she passes to the living room to say goodnight to her mum. "Good night, mother. Pleasant dreams." Her mom responds, "Good night, dear. They just did something on the news about the hospital closing. You didn't tell me." She answers, "We can talk later. I just found out today." I'm not sure of what they are going to do yet. Good night, Mom. Love you. Good night, dear. Love you too. Jessica moves to her bedroom, shutting the door quietly. She moves to her waterbed, sets the alarm on the clock radio. She turns it onto a rock station, softly clicks off the bedside lamp and slips into her bed, falling asleep to the tune White Rabbit by the Jefferson Airplane. Meanwhile, back at Miramar Hospital in Billy's room, which is darkened, Billy begins to toss and turn, twitching randomly, sweating. His hands shake, he trembles, as he begins to lapse into another spasm. A nightmare is experienced by Jessica and Billy at the same time. Billy finds himself on a solid gold Harley Davidson, not one of this dimension. He is riding, but there is no concrete, no asphalt. He speeds up and the lines of light trace under him endlessly. A panorama of geometric light, shaped like road signs. Illuminated traffic signals, weightless, unnatural motion. He races on ahead in a surreal wonderland, speeding, leaning through twists and turns. Quite alone until he comes to a massive open beachfront. There is no sand but whispers of light. A stormy sea of light rolls upon the beach before him. There is little sound, other than the musical synthesized drone of his mystical Harley. He stops near the ocean and he watches. His engine is at idle, as he gazes across the illuminated seascape. Jessica has fallen into dream, herself. She lay deep asleep, sharing an identical dream with Billy. She sees him on that vast plain of illuminated space. She watches him gaze across the vast ocean of light, even hearing the musical sound of the Harley against the rolling sound of the magical surf. There, from a distant point near water's edge, is a dark figure coming forward slowly. Billy notices and stares as the figure seems to be approaching him. They share an intense sense of presence as the figure draws nearer, walking toward Billy. On the horizon behind the figure is a trace of a spark of light, approaching the two men at a great pace in the sky. It draws closer and closer. There is the synthesized screaming of what appears to be an eagle radiating of a brilliant white light. Its large and powerful wings carry its form across the illuminated ocean, casting a reflection on the sea, like the moon glow. The figure of the man is drawing closer and Billy identifies him as his friend Wyatt. Billy is spellbound as the illuminated ghostly form grows nearer and nearer. The eerie screaming of the eagle as it approaches the two blend and mix musically with the surreal sounds of the winded sea of light. Wyatt comes forward, stopping only a few feet from Billy, still seated on the magnificent Harley. Both men look up at the eagle, silently, as it circles overhead. Its great eyes radiate the warm glow of life. Its sweeping wings warm the winds of the spirit. Billy tries to speak to Wyatt. "We made it, mister. We finally made it, man." The words are spoken. However nearly inaudible, they fall away. Musically, in slow effect, Billy tries to reach for his friend, laughing, finding that his fingers only disturb the illumination of Wyatt, passing through him, splashing colorful, shapeless forms, weightlessly dancing into space. Billy is confused as the figure mends itself in an electronic fusion. Wyatt speaks to him, heard clearly by the still dreaming Jessica, but only broken and garbled sounds are heard by Billy. Wyatt's lips appear to move, but Billy cannot make out the message. "Billy, you made it. Do you hear me, man? You made it just fine. Things will be all right now. The worst has come to pass. Just remember me, man. Remember me." The image begins to grow static, breaking up. It flashes. Its arm is extended as it reaches up, pointing at the great white eagle floating gracefully in the sky above them. Wyatt's ghostly image flashes repeatedly, then suddenly explodes, bursting a colorful mass of shapeless light which weightlessly ascends toward the heavens. The white eagle remains, flying in circles over Billy. It draws nearer, its wings slow as it suspends itself, like a dragonfly, above the awe-stricken biker. Its eyes are cast upon Billy, as the shattered illumination of Wyatt lifts infinitely toward the heavens, joining with the stars in the night sky. Billy is confused as he watches the eagle turn and in slow motion begins to fly south on the illuminated highway of light. He hears a voice in a synthesized drawl, echoing into the night. Musically, he listens. "Follow me now, Billy. Follow me down the river of steel. Don't look back. You must follow me. Just let the river take you." Billy stares, barely able to make out what he has heard. He turns the still running Harley, moving into motion, looking down the illuminated highway. It appears limitless, endless. infinite as he kicks the golden horse into gear with a snap and aims in the direction that the eagle flew. He rolls out, where there is no tarmac, only illuminated lane markers. Geometric forms float into space as the wave current of the rapidly accelerating hog blow them away, like a nuclear wind. He accelerates rapidly into the timeless space which captures him as he races on and on. Billy notes an image in the distance behind him in his rear-view mirrors. Something appears to be following him, even gaining on him as it out-accelerates his speeding motorcycle. Billy opens up to full throttle as the image behind him draws nearer and nearer. The illuminated lane markers appear to be a single neon-like bar as he races ahead. Still the image gains, stalking him upon the great highway of nothingness, passing mile after mile. There is the howling of demons heard as the monstrous creatures divide from one mass into four, echoing, eerie screams, screeching a synthesized horror, as the winged creatures of darkness overtake him. From left, right, above and below they surround the speeding bike and are huge creatures, as if born of the devil's own worst nightmare. Their wings create a crosswind which teases the stability of the Grand Harley, as Billy denotes the necklaces of human skulls which adorn their hideous forms. They continue to pace him as their serpent-like tongues lick out of their demonic, reptilian heads. Tremendous creatures, with mythological dragon-like wings, which propel them along at immeasurable speed. The horrified biker watches helplessly as he keeps the bike on trajectory. He watches as they appear to be pointing at him, raising the middle talon. They appear to be flipping him the bird. They taunt him, provoke him, as they lash out with deathly talons at his flesh. He gazes straight ahead, attempting to ignore them, but begins to make out the eagle, which is flying back to him from the distance ahead. The eagle grows nearer, when it begins to strike out at the hideous beasts who have entrapped the brave rider. Its eerie screams shriek out a warning as it attacks the winged beasts, plucking out their eyes, one by one. The creature below him gains a position directly in front of the speeding hog, its eyes bleeding a mercury-like silvery substance, as it rises up into a holding pattern before the fearful rider. It raises its mighty head and with a hideous scream belches out with intense power a tremendous fire flash. A fireball of huge proportions blows back with a wind that spills the speeding motorcycle. From that fire Billy witnesses what appears to be the Grim Reaper himself. Its skeletal form is chrome-like, as the motorcycle is crashing, sliding, breaking apart. Billy watches as the Reaper raises his mighty death blade, swinging it from the sky, directing it upon Billy, who lays helplessly next to his shattered motorcycle. Flashing statically, Billy is lying next to his crashed motorcycle. His mind flashes of memory, repeats, then breaks apart. Where he should be bleeding spills light, as the exposition of illumination suddenly falls into perfect stillness, perfect darkness, perfect silence, lingering for a few moments. At the hospital, Billy awakens with a horrified scream that echoes through the corridors of the otherwise quiet facility. He raises up from his bed, staring wildly and blindly in complete madness. Sweating, hot and fevered, the scream echoes into the night as other patients in his room awaken and flee. Jessica has shared Billy's nightmare, image by image, moment for moment. She is awakened at the same time as Billy, seemingly by the impact of his scream, sits up quickly in her bed. Without hesitation, she rises up and begins to dress, turning on the lamp on the bedside table. Her mother is awakened by the activity and speaks to her from her room. "Jessie dear, what is it? Did you have a bad dream? Are you alright?" Mrs. Severson gets up and moves to Jessica's room, finding her nearly dressed. "It's okay, Mum. Something has happened at the hospital. I have to go there right away." Her concerned mother answers, "I didn't hear the phone ring." "What do you mean something has happened at the hospital?" "You had a bad dream, that's all. Go back to bed. It's only 4 o'clock in the morning." "What I saw, Mom? It was no bad dream. There is something that's happened to Billy. I've got to go there. I'll call you later. You go back to bed. Nothing for you to worry about." Dressed, Jessica moves from her room, hurriedly, and leaves through the front door. She runs to her inherited 1932 Ford Roadster street trod parked on the drive. A spotted house cat, perched upon the hood, runs away as Jessie enters her car. She buckles up and starts the engine and proceeds to back down the driveway. The small block-powered street rod leaves with a scream of spinning tires. She ambles her way through sparse, early morning traffic. The rod races to the front of the facility. She stops near the front entrance, not bothering to use the space assigned her. Exiting the car, she runs to the security-keyed front door, uses her pass key and rushes inside. She races into the lobby, to the elevator, inserts her key, and as the elevator doors open, she enters. On arrival, Jessica races into the waiting room directly past the nurse's station, through the empty corridors directly to Billy's room. 2 night attendants are in the room tending to the bewildered patients who lay awake in his bed. One attendant inquires, "What are you doing here so early? It appears that your friend is coming around." He let out one hell of a scream about a half hour ago. "He was looking right at me when I came in," Jessie responds. "I thought so. I was home asleep. And Billy's eyes are open, making eye contact with Jessica as she tends to him, looking curiously into the aging biker's eyes. He attempts to say something to her, but it doesn't come out right. Jessica wipes his face with a damp wash towel. She consoles him. "Billy, you made it. Do you hear me, man? You made it just fine. Things will be all right now. The worst has come to pass. Just remember Wyatt." Puzzled, Billy looks at her, knowing he had heard those very words before. He is very pleased by her beauty, her gentle, caring and soft, seductive youth. Jessie continues, "So you decided to come back to life after all. Do you have any idea how long you have been out of it, my friend?" His head moves. He tries lifting his weak arms. Jessica watches him. His eyes follow her as she works over him, blotting the sweat from his face, checking his pulse rate on the monitor equipment which the attendants have applied. "You just rest. But do me a favor and keep those eyes open. You are going to have to learn how to walk again. But that's what I am here for. I'm Jessica Sevison. It's a pleasure to meet you, Billy." Jessica takes his right hand, goes through the motions of a handshake. This amuses Billy. He attempts a smile, which she denotes and returns. She holds his hand as his fingers clutch hers in a tightening grip. Seated at his bedside, she ponders his thoughts as she comforts this awesome stranger. His head moves about as he stretches his weary body, speaking. "I'm really very hungry. Food. I'd like something to eat. I remember Wyatt. Where is he? Is he here? Can you call Wyatt?" Jessie answers. "What would you like? Some lobster tail, a big, thick, juicy steak, sushi?" Mrs. Meyer will have to approve your diet, but we'll get something for you real soon, an attendant advises. "Mrs. Meyer will be here soon. The sun is coming up. You're in good hands, Billy. Just give me a yell if you need anything." "I need to know, Jessica. How did you know he came out of it?" She responds. "A woman thing, I guess. I really can't explain it. Something I saw. It came to me in a dream or something. I don't know." The other attendant denotes. "If it wasn't for you, I know we would have lost him long ago, Jessie." She responds. "If he was supposed to die, he would have long ago. Has one tough dude." The attendants leave the room. Billy rests easy as Jessica massages his back. Mrs. Meyer has arrived as the night attendant fills her in on Billy's recovery. She summons the on-call doctor on the phone, placing a second call to the kitchen to forward a breakfast to Billy's room. "You know, I woke up about 4 o'clock this morning. Something about Jessica. I couldn't get back to sleep for the life of me. How about that? You should remind her to move her car." She informs the attendant, who responds, "I'll move it for her. She is something else. I don't know why or how. She seemed to know that he had come back. It's incredible when you think about it." She came and went straight to his room. Mrs. Meyer gathers some records and paperwork, arranges them on a clipboard, then moves from the nurse's station and heads down the hallway. She enters Billy's room and observes Jessica tending to the patient. The hospital bed is in raised position. Billy is sitting up as Jessica has rearranged the area. She greets her. "Good morning, Mrs. Meyer. I'd like you to meet a friend of mine." Mrs. Meyer interjects. "Billy the kid. I'm pleased to meet you. I took the liberty of ordering your breakfast." I notified Drive Johnson. "Mister, do you have any idea what year this is?" Billy appears puzzled and weak, looking at the nurse. "This is 19 has. Where is Wyatt?" "We were somewhere in Florida. I remember crashing. I crashed my bike. Is Wyatt around here too?" "Captain America." "Jessie, I think I know this Captain America. That's Wyatt. No, he isn't with us. You have been out of it for more than 29 years. It's a miracle you are alive at all. This is 1999. Billy responds. Then Wyatt is dead? Mrs. Meyer states. According to your records, you both were involved in a cycle accident. Your friend was killed. Jesse adds. The police report said that you were both intoxicated, drunk. Do you remember anything? Billy is stunned, shocked by the realization of what happened to Wyatt, what year it is. He looks at both, then presses back into his bed, cringes, thinking, looking somewhat angry. He tries to rise up, but is too weak. Someone shot me. I was shot. They must have got Wyatt. Jesse urges him. Now, you just lay still. You had some leg injury. It's going to take some effort, but you will walk again. I'm here to help you. Mrs. Meyer adds, what you have been through is really very unique. It is as if you had died. You visited death. When death was done, they sent you back. Such an experience. The attendant wheels a food table filled with a variety of foods into the room. Jessica sets out the food tray and tends to him, feeding him the prepared food. Over the next few days, Jessica has been working overtime to spend as much time with Billy as she can, filling him in on current events, helping him cope with all the years he had missed and to learn how to walk. He has been gaining weight, and his strength is building. Billy doesn't speak much. Jessica has brought him around in a wheelchair. He tried walking with the walker but didn't care for it much. He enjoys watching TV and video cassettes. He begins to walk with the aid of a cane that Jessica presented to him. Jessica strikes the idea to alert the media. She secures permission of the staff, notifies the local TV news, then places articles in the Miami Herald and the Sun Sentinel newspapers, thinking that some viewer could identify Billy and perhaps help get him back into reality. The nationally syndicated television news magazines pick up on his story. Hardline news comes forward as curious people want to know, who is Billy? What is he doing in Florida? When did he arrive? Where did he come from? And why hasn't anyone come forward on his behalf? Maybe someone will recognize him as these shows run repeatedly across the U.S. and Canada. Over the next few weeks, Billy's story was run on network stations coast to coast, known only as Billy the Kid. His fate was read to thousands of viewers. Billy's story became a Hardline news rerun. Meanwhile, the state hospital at Miramar was due to close. The offices in the Tallahassee have also taken notice of Billy's case. A younger attorney, dressed in formal business attire, is reviewing reports that have accumulated over the years. He and another attorney are conversing over a desk. Both are seated. This guy wasn't even a Florida resident. He was stoned, crashed his bike upon arriving, hasn't a penny to his name. His hospital costs are incredible. He shows the bottom line on the tally sheet to his comrade, who adds, over 29 years in the system, living off you and me. The last hippie lizardman lives. His associate states, let's put together a work program for him. Let him pay back into the system. Nobody rides for free. Hell, those days are long gone. The other insists, closing the hospital was the best thing we could have done. I don't know why it took so long. Billy the Kid. Huh? Well, it's payback time, asshole. Then, Hardline News did a thing on him. Did you see that? He's a poor little lamb who has lost his way. Bell, blab, blab. The annoyed attorneys mock. The poor little lamb who has gone astray. He might have family with money somewhere. Let's see what the feds have on him. Damned hippies always did make me sick. Goddamned guy is uglier than Howard Stern. The two laughs. Back in South Florida, Jessica is preparing a room in her home for Billy to reside in. Her mother is there to help her. Jesse, with the hospital closing, I don't know what else to do. Are you sure you can deal with this, Mom? With the job, change, money, I can't afford to put him up anywhere else. Her mom responds, I hear you. If you think he should be here, then this is where he will be. Besides, it will be nice to have a man to cook for. We haven't had that since your father died. Rest his soul. Jesse. Thanks, Mom, has still weak, but doing really good. Mrs. Meyer thinks the state will try to make him work off his costs in a minimum wage job. Nobody else had to. Her mom adds, well, the welfare system has been a major burden to the state. They have been coming up with programs to limit terms for the recipients. It's for the good of all, for the masses. An annoyed Jesse states, greed is what it is. People that have it act like it's a gift from God instead of the disease it is. Every state has a hospital system. He didn't have a choice. I'm going to pick him up now. Do you want to come along? Her mother responds, no darling. My soaps are on, I'll stay here. Jessica is in her hot rod on the way to the hospital. Nearing the Broward County Courthouse, on Hollywood Boulevard, she sees a large number of people gathered there. Outside, there are a number of men in wheelchairs, people with signs parading on the sidewalk. She stays inside her car, but stops to observe what is going down. There is a man with one leg in a wheelchair, speaking into a public address system. We must realize that the plight of our men in battle may not be taken lightly. While draft resistors were running from war, your children and neighbors were being killed in action. We are asking you sign this petition so that judges and legislators can see that you don't want your tax dollars spent on drug dealers or draft resistors. Let them know that you support the veterans' move to reserve jobs for those who were brave enough to face war, not drug dealers or rehabs for other criminals. She watched as a shouting match transpires between two people. One was angry about free-riding welfare junkies with an Afro-American who was defending their right to gain assistance. A local church was there to defend all those in need, representing the generosity that God promises one and all. Most were on welfare themselves. Jessica wanted to say something when she saw a sign with a picture of Billy with a circle and a line drawn through it. She lingers a few moments, then proceeds toward the hospital, puzzled, stunned by anxiety. Washington, D.C. Offices of the Drug Enforcement Administration. In a conference room, 3 investigators are being briefed on a case pending in Florida. They are to go to the Fort Lauderdale area to interview a suspect known only by the name of Billy. The team are seated at a conference table before a lead officer who states, "We are convinced that this is the same individual involved in an incident near Los Angeles Airport in 1969. He and his accomplice sold some cocaine packaged in motorcycle battery cases to someone we had under surveillance. When our team moved to make the arrest, 2 agents were killed. The actor's bodyguard was slain as well." In later plea bargains, the actor identified these 2 bikers as being his source. The officer displays photographs of Wyatt and Billy, the slain bodyguard in a bullet-riddled Rolls-Royce, and the purchaser, a pimp. Also the dead bodies of 2 agents who were shot by the bodyguard during apprehension. The file was opened for review in still enlargements, being passed around the table, with each of the 3 investigators being given their own copy for study. The chairman continues, "By today's standards these 2 are small time. In 1969 they were kingpins. The RICO Act covers much of this territory. We need to know who their source was in Mexico. That could be a major cartel today." You will also note there was a murder near Paris, Texas a few days later. A civil liberties attorney named Mr. George Hansen. Authorities in Texas have identified these 2 as the same who were seen in a cafe the day he was murdered. We believe that Billy is one of the killers. Let's bring him down, men. Warrants will be issued as you need them. Good luck. The 3 men look over their documents, lingering at the conference table while the lead officer leaves the area. In a few moments, a young woman dressed in executive attire enters the room and gives the 3 investigators travel arrangements and written orders. Miramar, Florida. At the same moment back in Florida, Jessica's hot rod comes to a stop in her driveway. Billy and she exit the vehicle, he with a slight struggle and a cane. Mrs. Severson comes out to greet them gingerly. "So, you are the man putting my daughter through all of this. I'm pleased to meet you, Billy. I feel I know you, somehow." Billy stumbles somewhat, not being used to the cane nor being in the world again. "Whoa there, big man," Mrs. Severson says as they help Billy. Embracing him, they assist him into the home. Jessica leads Billy into the room they prepared for him, showing him through the 3-bedroom house. She leads him outside the back door to the garden and the modest swimming pool. "My dad made this. It was something he always wanted. He died just 6 months after it was finished." She seats him on a lounge chair and sits at a picnic table with a sunshade umbrella. Mrs. Severson brings them a pitcher and 2 glasses of iced herbal tea. This is her favorite, ginger or something. She never was much of a drinker. "I noticed you don't have any luggage. You are about my husband's size. I have boxes of things you can wear. Never could bring myself to dispose of them." "Jessie, you're right, Mom. He hasn't much to wear. Rest a while. Have dinner. I can get Dad's boxes out later." Her mom adds, "Hope you like chicken. We eat a lot of it around here." The three get comfortable as he settles in. After dinner, Jessie finds her dad's boxes of clothing. They watch television and Billy sets in to rest early. The next day, it's just afternoon time when an unmarked black Chevrolet Caprice, with a left spot lamp and 3 passengers arrives, stopping at the street level in front of the home. 3 federal investigators exit the vehicle. Each carry a briefcase, dressed in inexpensive business suits. They approach the Seversons' front door, casually. They ring the doorbell. The Channel 7 noontime news can be heard in the background as Mrs. Severson responds to the bell. "Good morning, gentlemen. What can I do for you?" The 3 men show their identification. "I'm Frank Basting. This is Tom Herc and Abby Jackson. We are on assignment from the Drug Enforcement Administration in Washington. Are you Mrs. Jessica Severson?" Mrs. Severson responds, "No, Jessica is my daughter. She isn't married, sir. She is in the backyard with her friend from the hospital. Come, I will take you to her." The 3 men cordially enter the home, following Mrs. Severson's lead to the backyard where Jessica and Billy are relaxing. "Jessica, there are some gentlemen from Washington to see you." She is in shorts and a trim t-shirt seated at the round picnic table. Billy is relaxing in a stuffed reclining lawn chair a few feet from her, dressed in cut-off denim shorts, appears to be sleeping. She responds, "From Washington? Must be official, Miss Severson. I'm Frank Basting, Mr. Herc and Mr. Jackson. We are with the Drug Enforcement Administration on special assignment." The 3 looks toward Billy, who remains unconcerned and somewhat distant. Mrs. Severson leaves the area momentarily, returning with a tray of glasses and a pitcher of iced tea. "Would any of you gentlemen care for some fresh iced tea?" Abby Jackson accepts her offer. "Yes, ma'am, iced tea would be fine. Thank you." Tom Herc inquires, "Is it instant or real?" "Iced tea sounds good. Thank you." Mrs. Severson answers, "It's real, Mr. Basting." "None for me, thanks." Basting looks at Billy and is annoyed that he hasn't acknowledged nor responded to their presence, as he remains reclined, not moving since they arrived. They remain standing as Jessica inquires, "You men are with the DEA?" Basting answers, "That's right. We went to the state hospital at Miramar. They advised us of your address. We wanted to speak with Billy." Jessica, "With Billy?" "Man, Billy, there are 3 men from the DEA here to see you." Jessica turns her attention to Billy, as he looks up from his prone position at the 3 overly stern faces peering at him 15 feet from where he lay. There is the winded fragrance of flowers from the Severson garden, dancing with the cool breeze that soothes the noontime heat. Billy responds slowly to them as he sits up on the side of the lounge chair. He responds, "Forgive me if I don't shake your hand. It's hard for me to walk." Basting looks through his notes. "I can't seem to find your last name listed here. You, sir, is Billy." "Who?" Billy says nothing. His eyes are gazing over them in their 2-piece summer weight suits, ties snugged tightly around their necks. Jessica responds, "Just what is it that you want to ask him, Mr. Basting?" Billy isn't prepared for a lot of questions just yet. Basting moves to the picnic table, opening his case to reveal some photographs and documents. It takes a few moments until he presents Jessica with some photos and reports. She looks at them and carries them over to Billy for him to view. Basting adds, "Washington is concerned about some outstanding warrants on Billy. One in Los Angeles, 1969, where 2 DEA agents were killed. The 2 men in the photos were identified as the source of a significant quantity of uncut cocaine. Obviously, one of these men is Billy. The informant accepted a plea bargain. His bodyguard was killed. Do you recall that incident, sir?" Billy remains silent. He looks at the photos, then across the yards that surround the Severson home. The scent of the flowers tickles his nostrils. Tom Herc continues, "Then we have a homicide in the state of Texas, where a civil liberties attorney named Mr. George Hansen was murdered. Mr. Hansen's father had political ties. There was a reward for information concerning the death of his son." Mr. Jackson adds, "An autopsy report shows that George Hansen had been consuming marijuana. He had died of blunt trauma. We learned that George was last seen leaving a small cafe near Bonham, Texas with 2 bikers. A deputy sheriff has positively identified Billy as one of those bikers." Then Basting adds, "George Hansen's body was found in a shallow grave. There were tire tracks from 2 motorcycles in the immediate area. His parents received an envelope with his wallet mailed from a post office in New Orleans. What can you add to that, sir? Basting looks directly into Billy's eyes. He is thinking. Basting is attempting to intimidate him. But Billy remains calm, passive, answering. You don't think that me or Wyatt? We would never hurt no man. Jackson states, my man, then takes up a photo of George Hansen and moves closer to Billy. He flings the photo on the lounge for him to see, angrily. Did you kill Mr. George Hansen? His father died not knowing what happened to his son. Did you sell cocaine to this pimp in a Rolls Royce at the L.A. airport in 1969? We think you did. Jesse is very annoyed by their implication and mannerism. Wait a minute here. I don't like your overtone. Is he under arrest? What about the men who shot him and his best friend in 1969? Are you aware of what this man has been through? Or is it you only care about a privileged few? Drug agents, cops and government attorneys. Frank Basting answers, I'm sure that the local police have done everything they could to find what happened. To acknowledge Billy was intoxicated when he and his friend crashed. I need some answers from Billy himself. Billy hesitates, remains seated, then responds, no speeches. I avoided the war because I could not kill. I was too stoned then, man. Wyatt never killed anyone. I hated guns then. I hate them more today. People in Texas killed George and almost killed Wyatt and me. Basting responds, can you tell me who supplied you with the cocaine? Who in Mexico sold those battery cases to you? Tom Hurkacz, do you remember the village? We believe the cartel there has grown. Jesse intervenes. Did you people hear what he said? Even if he was involved, it was almost 30 years ago. Unless you're going to arrest him, I'm going to ask you to leave. Not through the house, through the side gate. Jesse remains very annoyed by their implications. She urges them to leave by moving toward and opening the side gate. The men gather their property and follow her. Reluctantly, Basting states, we are only doing our job. I'm going to leave you my card. There is a local number you can call if you can remember anything. Tom Hurkacz, our job is not easy, Miss Severson. Jesse responds, my job is to save lives. I just helped save this man's life. My job is not easy, sir, unless you have sworn warrants. Please do not return. He does not need this. The men exit the yard through the side gate. Mrs. Severson comes outside to gather the glasses and inquire about the nature of their visit. Anything I should know about? Jesse answers, it gets twisted. They had some old warrants from 1969, alleging that he killed someone in Texas. Billy is intimidated and depressed. You know I didn't kill anyone. I know I didn't kill anyone. I remember a cafe in Bonham. They refused to serve us, a sheriff and local arsehole rednecks. We camped just outside Paris, Texas and woke up to being beaten with golf clubs. George died. We were messed up. Bad man. Jesse inquires, didn't you notify the police? Billy, the sheriff was one of them. We buried George, then mailed his wallet to his parents with a note. We were too afraid to do anything else, just got out of there. They thought we were all dead. Mrs. Severson, you poor man. That sounds absolutely terrifying. Jesse, that means they are still out there, probably laughing about it to this day. Billy adds that's how it was back then. Cops ruled with an iron fist. Power-hungry, egomaniacs, man. Jesse inquired, you went to New Orleans? Billy laid back on the lounge. There was a place there. George turned us onto. Madame Tinker toys. That's what it was. I remember, it was Mardi Gras. We went there for that. Jessica asks, where did you go after you left New Orleans? Billy ponders momentarily. We were headed to Daytona. I remember we were in Florida. We left the main highway to camp near a Confederate War Memorial. I remember only hearing a loud noise and crashing. After that I just don't know. Jesse informs him. The hospital has a file on you. There may be a copy of the police report in it. Mrs. Severson adds, I saw something on TV about Vietnam veterans going back to the battlegrounds. Maybe Jessica could take you to North Florida. Jesse gets the drift. Good idea. I want to go to the hospital and get a copy of his files. They date back to 1969. Billy almost laughs. I'd go along with it. There is probably enough there to write a book. He reclines back in the lounge chair, relieved that the investigators have left, resting while Jessica leaves the area, preparing to go to the hospital. The photograph of George Hansen is picked up by a passing breeze which flings it into the pool. It lands face up, floating across the surface as the water attacks the paper. It dissolves and fades the image. Jessica drives to the state hospital, parking her car in the assigned stall marked Severson. She exits and secures the vehicle and gazes across the unpopulated grounds, seeing only the groundskeepers working and maintenance vehicles parked at the closed facility. She hesitates momentarily, then proceeds to the front. She makes her way through the empty hallways, down a flight of stairs to the basement area, until she reaches a locked door marked "Patient Records Authorized Personnel Only." She enters, flicking on the lights, and moves to a computer upon a desk. She inserts an index code and punches up Billy's file request. The computer notes where his records are located and prints out a message. Jessica snaps the notation from the printer and moves down the line of shelving filled with orderly files. She locates a large file, pulling it. She takes the folder to a countertop near a copy machine. She selectively scans the sheets in the file, pulling anything she considers pertinent. Near the bottom she discovers an obscure sealed envelope. She looks at it curiously, then empties the contents, which include 24 police crime scene photographs and initial reports relating to the accident scene. The 11 by 14-inch black and whites show the crashed Harley-Davidsons. Some show Wyatt at rest where he went down. She cringes some, then scans Billy's crashed bike and denotes the information written on multiple pages of police reports. Reading them over, she finds a coroner's report, noting cause of death, accidental. Billy's report notes, operator lost control while intoxicated, drugs and alcohol-related accident with injuries. In another report from the emergency room at Uniacke Springs Hospital, where Billy was taken, states, patient was riddled with buckshot, believed to be 12 gauge. She looks at the hospital report from Wyatt and discovers, corpse was riddled with buckshot, believed to be 12 gauge. She looks over the police reports again, noting nothing about the victims being shot whatsoever. She selects only pages which are concerning her interest, moves to the copy machine and prepares duplicates. She moves back to the computer and denotes into it what files she has obtained, places everything back in order, returns the file to its place on the shelf. Gathering her information, she leaves the room, turning out the lights, securing the door as she leaves. Walking up the stairs she passes a maintenance man, greeting him. "Hi Tommy. It's like a ghost town around here. Sure is quiet." The maintenance man smiles, but offers no answer as she continues up the stairs. Back at the Severson residence, Billy is still at leisure in the backyard lounge, showing signs of sunburn from the Florida sun. Jessica has returned home and enters the scene. With her file folder in hand, she instantly notes the red burn. "Hey, you really are a glutton for punishment. Look at that sunburn. Come over here and check this out." In the shade, Billy gets up slowly, makes his way to the shaded area of the picnic table, where Jessica is seated, opening her record copy, disclosing the photographs, police reports and medical examiner statements. She denotes, the police report states that you were hurt while on drugs and alcohol, by accident. It says that Wyatt was killed when he crashed under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Billy knows differently. B.S. That is bullshit. We had been on the road all day, man. That is a crock of bull. Jessica continues, "Now, look here. The doctor who tended to you at the Uniacke Springs Hospital says there was 12 gauge buckshot all over you, fired from close range." Jessica hands him the copy. As Billy reads it over, his adrenaline pumps up. Police report subjects appeared to be heading east on Highway 90 20 miles from Mossy Head. Jesse urges him. Now, the next paragraph. Billy reads it. It is the belief of the investigating officer that no other vehicles were involved. The victims are believed to be operating their motorcycles under the influence of drugs and alcohol, both losing control of their cycles while intoxicated. Death is accidental, alcohol-related. Jessica observed, "It says that you both were on drugs and alcohol. That's why you crashed." The case was closed with no further investigation. There is nothing to confirm what the medical examiner reports. 12 gauge buckshot. Billy grows annoyed while viewing all the photographs. His memory flashes back to 1969. He witnesses an on-off flash of memory watching the blue 1957 Chevrolet pickup truck come alongside of him. He sees the blast fire of the shotgun and recalls the crash and skid. He remembers Wyatt as he returns, covering him with his leather jacket. The broken memory flashes only back up his earlier convictions. No, they did. Those assholes did kill Wyatt and there was a cover-up. Look, this was my hog. It was red with yellow flames. He points out his chopper to Jessica, who looks over the derelict. He adds, there was a chopper shop in Anaheim. Sure, I remember. It blew them away because we paid for them in cold hard cash. They called Wyatt Captain America because his was done in candies and pearls, red, white and blue. The American flag. They did his helmet to match his machine. Jessica notes. They only towed one bike in. Look here at the impound report. She hands him a copy of the towing company's report. What it says is that they towed only one motorcycle in. The other was so badly damaged that it was left on the scene. Not enough left to bother with. It says right here, Robertson Towing Company Incorporated, Crestview, Florida, where old Highway 90 meets 85. I'll bet it's still there today, man. Look what it says. Our 25th year, Crestview. We can get there in a day. Let's go up there tomorrow morning. Take the turnpike. Are you up to it, man? Billy thinks for a few moments, looking across the yard, then back at the pictures. They killed Wyatt. I have got to, man. They did kill Wyatt. Someone up there will remember. Well, find someone. Mrs. Severson calls out of the house that dinner is ready. Jessica gathers the papers and photographs, placing them in order. Billy appears very enthused about tomorrow's adventure. Gathering himself, he takes his cane in hand and moves toward the house. Mrs. Severson has dinner prepared and Billy sits at the table. He is wearing a ZZ Top t-shirt that Jessica had given him. They all sit as Jess's mom notes. I remember when Jessica bought that shirt for her father. He acted as though he liked it for her sake. He only liked country music, Hank Williams and Roy Acuff. He was born in Tennessee. Jessie, we are headed for North Florida early, Mom. Don't you get up when we do. It will be before the sun comes up. Her mother answers, you must have found something in the reports. I overheard you in the backyard. Something about Crestview. It changed so much over the years. Florida has property investors. Look what happened to the town of Davie. It was a rodeo capital. Dairy farms. A page out of the Old West. Jessie. They still horseback ride there right in the streets, but not like it used to be. Dad went to every rodeo event they had there, would not miss a one. Billy. We found out the name of the towing company there. Maybe we can find someone who might remember something from back then. I can't believe they did what they did. They accused us of crashing while intoxicated. Man, we hadn't had a drink since we left New Orleans. Jessie. It seems as though the police either were protecting the killers or they just didn't care to bother with what really went down. Billy replies, a cover-up, man. They get paid the same for sitting on their asses or investigations. All we were was white trash. I got where I just could not relate to society. Wyatt never could. Neighbors hunting neighbors. Cops were sick. Jessie concludes. After dinner you get some shut-eye. Ill-packed things, load the car and fill the tank tonight. It'll be an adventure, man. Early the next morning, Jessica and Billy are in motion. The sun is coming up and the hot rod is headed north on the Florida Turnpike. Wasn't born to follow by the band The Birds is playing on the compact disc player in the Reduced Roadster. Jessie comments, do you remember The Birds? They were from your time. I saw Roger McGinn a few weeks ago playing in the park. The music in the 60s was mystical, even magical. When I was a kid, I wanted to grow up to be a flower child. A hippie. Laughingly, Billy responds. A flower child? Man. I was there. I saw Jimi Hendrix and the Iron Butterfly at the Avalon Ballroom. Wyatt and I met in the old Tashbury district. In a Gaddy La Vida. Jessie, Gaddy that mean in the Garden of Eden? That was in San Francisco. Look through those CDs in that box. There's some Iron Butterfly in there. She points to a compact disc holder in the rod. Billy shuffles through them, selecting a disc by the band The 13th Floor Elevators, commenting, Wyatt's bike must have been wrecked pretty bad if they left it there. There was moon, Jessie inquires. There was what? Billy responds, we had money. It was in his teardrop tank. I'll bet the assholes who shot us found it. This arouses her interest. Money, man? How much money? If there is anything you need right now, it's money. Billy continues. A whole lot of money. Enough to retire on. Somebody got rich, man, and the cops got it. Jessie points out. Judging from the photos, there wasn't much left of his bike. It looked like it caught fire. Nothing was in the property reports about any money. Jessica signals. changes lanes and is slowing to enter a turnpike service exit. She pulls into the gas pumps and stops. Billy remains in the roadster while she is taking care of business. There are three biker chicks leaning on the rear of three late model Harley Davidsons only a few feet from the sleek roadster. One notices Billy. Remembering him from Hardline News, she informs her friends, who instantly grow excited. He waves at them while all three lift up their shirts, exposing their blossoming breasts to Billy. Their old men arrive and grow much annoyed that the girls are being so friendly toward him. One grows angry and slaps his bitch, giving Billy the finger. Jessica returns with some cold drinks, tops off the fuel tank, watching. Are they teasing you, man? Those poor, innocent biker chicks. Billy laughs as the bikers mount, fire up and roll out in a huff. Jessica enters the hot rod, buckles up, starts the engine, rolling out behind them. They both open a cold drink as they re-enter the Florida Turnpike. The car moves out with a quick snap and enters sparse traffic. Billy is looking through the photographs as the car moves down the pike. He finds the police photos of the Rolls Royce, all shot up. The bodyguard with the dark sunglasses lay dead next to it. He remembers that pimp. He ratted us out. He was connected with some British fans. They were watching him all the time. That pussy. Damn, Jesse responds. A Rolls Royce. He had to be rich. How much cash did you two have? He continued. Wyatt took care of the cash. We had some to begin with from up in San Francisco, a few thousand, but the deal with the pimp, that was the big one. Jesse inquires. 10, 20, 30,000? Billy. Somewhere around $30,000. It was a lot back then. Jesse adds. The state would take it now. Billy. Yeah, politics is more like tactical warfare. Just then a Harley with a dude and chick passed them. Then another, some solo riders. Altogether about 30 bikes, some with women riding alone. They watch the panorama of colorful steel and flesh as excitement builds. The throaty tones of the bike's exhaust present a harmonic rumble tone mixing with the sound of Jessica's wild hot rod. Some of the dudes on bikes flirt with her as they check her out. The bikes cruise with them for a spell, then they all accelerate and pull on ahead, blow down the road. Billy responds. Women don't ride Harleys. Men built them for men to ride. We didn't have much of that back then. Jesse denotes. Some women aren't just women anymore. Some are gender benders, you know? He laughs. Is it breaking the gender barrier or is it dykes on bikes? Back then women were women. Some very cool, some very hot, but they were, in fact, women. Jessica laughs. Gay or what? If Adam or Eve were gay, life would have never begun. They seem blind to the fact that they defeat their purpose. AIDS has a cure. Cease the activity. Nobody really has to have sex. It's only a habit that people develop, no different than drugs, tobacco or alcohol. Just a damned habit. People are just different today, I guess. Those girls are women in the wind. A clean Harley puts up and paces the rod. Billy looks to see its rider is a man who looks identical to Wyatt. He squints his eyes and is about to say something when the biker snaps out and on ahead at a fast clip. 3 Florida Highway Patrol cars are coming up fast in Jessica's rear view mirrors. She slows, pulls to the right, allowing them to pass, which they do at a high rate of speed. She comments. Probably an accident. In a few minutes they round a curve, slowing to see the state troopers have all the motorcycles pulled over to the side of the road. The troopers are examining all the bikes for proper registration, riders' helmets for DOT stickers, a general shakedown. One biker is in handcuffs. Jessica's street rod can be seen stopped across the road as they watch. Some bikers remember Jessica and Billy from down the way, waving to them. A dude is being ticketed for his hog. He looks toward Billy and flips him off. Billy returns the symbolic gesture. The state trooper glances over at Billy. While he is extending his middle finger, the trooper's right hand drops to the handle of his service revolver as he glares at Billy. Across the roadway, Jessica notes this and steps on the gas, pulling away from the scene. The cop thought that was meant for him. In Florida that can get you killed. It happens a lot, right on the road. Billy laughs. Nice time to find it out. When I got shot, Jesse, will be approaching Highway 75 soon. I'll take that to 10. When you got shot, were you giving them the finger? Billy explains. It made no difference what state we were in. Pull into a motel with a vacancy sign. They see us, and no vacancy would appear, stop to eat, and they refuse to serve us. It never seemed to end, Jesse explains. What you represented as hippies was drug heads, social enemies. The police always take on the younger generation, easy targets. You were a junkie, a hippie draft dodger. The Vietnam War created many waves in America. People were scared and angry. Billy adds, hippie, biker trash. I've been called a lot worse things. A junkie, no. The Deuce Roadster is still on the Florida Turnpike approaching the junction with Interstate Highway 75, Phoenix, Arizona. Later, that same day, across the country there stands an older desert motel converted into a halfway house. There is the screaming of an eagle high above, gliding, encircling the scene, descending, dropping downward in a wide glide path, spinning gracefully. From above on a downward approach the viewpoint is drawn on the converted desert motel. As the building draws nearer, in the parking area one can see a 1940 Ford Woodbody station wagon. Nearby is parked a 48 Indian Chief motorcycle. The eagle's scream is heard as the sweep draws nearer. Then as it swoops down over the building, its large shadow is seen upon the sands. A telephone is heard ringing from inside the well-kept older structure. On TV there is hardline news featuring Billy's story. Outside is heard a dog barking, chasing the shadow of the great bird that was flown overhead. A number of house cats are present. Sarah moves to answer the telephone while Luke is seated in front of the TV. The motel is a halfway house for troubled teens. It is non-commercial. Its residents are teen boys and girls, some pregnant, some with punky razor haircuts. 2 resident girls and 1 boy enter the room to see what is so interesting to Luke on the TV. As he calls out, Sarah, look, I think we know this guy. He and another dude picked me up hitchhiking and spent a couple of days with us by Sacred Mountain. I'll be goddanged if that isn't him. Sarah finishes her phone call. She enters in as Luke bumps up the volume. She comments, oh yeah, he flirted with me. I remember. Those 2 bikers, one had a pearl flag bike. A punky-haired girl responds, that's about the 10th time it's been on. It's a rerun. Luke moves to quiet them. Hold it down. I'm sure it's the same guy. As Sarah adds, that is him from the farm. It was his friend who Lisa says knocked her up. Luke is laughing somewhat. Old Captain America. Lisa did get it on with him. I invited them to stay on with us. I remember it like it was yesterday. Sarah adds, Tawny's father. I remember that flag chopper. Luke urges, shush, hush now, let's watch. Their attention draws to the television show still in progress, and Billy came back to life after almost 3 decades in and out of a coma while surviving in Florida state hospitals. There was no record of any visitors in that time, no family, no friends. The state of Florida is preparing a special work program to help rehabilitate him, as well as offer him the opportunity to work off some of his hospital costs. Attorneys for the state feel this will give back to the taxpayer funds which they provided to keep him alive. If anyone in our audience can help identify this stranger, please call us. Billy's Story 1-800-666-6661. That's a toll-free call. Please don't hesitate. That number again is 1-800. Luke comments, I am certain that is him. I remember the hat, the jacket. He was so paranoid, but we all were. I wondered what happened to them. Wyatt got shot and killed. Sarah writes down the telephone number. I am going to call Lisa. She doesn't watch much TV. It was Wyatt who knocked up Lisa. He didn't even know. Luke. How could he know? They were going to the Mardi Gras. I am somewhat relieved though. I was worried that you thought I had. Sarah inquires. Thought you had what? Luke laughs. Knocked up Lisa. She scoffs the notion. Sarah is at the phone calling her lifelong friend Lisa, who lives in a small house in the Lake Tahoe area. She is the owner-operator of a flower shop in a local mall called Flower Power. Lisa and her daughter, Tawny, are both members of the obscure organization known as the Rainbow Children, who meet annually in a remote location, Lake Tahoe, Nevada. With supernatural speed there is, again, the screaming of the eagle, from some distance, gliding, gracefully, dropping down from well above the small home, in a constant descent, dropping closer to the home of Lisa and her 29-year-old daughter, Tawny. As the great bird approaches, seen in the driveway is parked an early Volkswagen microbus, painted in flowers, traditionally a magic bus fashion of the 60s. As the glide path draws nearer, a phone is ringing. over by the band KMFT, and from within the dwelling, a very slender, tall girl with long golden hair comes to the telephone, turning down the music somewhat, as she moves to answer. Hello? No, this is Tawny. Yes, Mom is home. Sarah? Hi. Did we watch what? Hardline news? No, TV hasn't been on today. Too generic. I'll get Mom for you. She's in the shower. Just hold. She calls to Lisa. Mom, long distance from Sarah in Phoenix. Lisa comes dressing in a robe, rushing to the phone from the shower. Her hair is dripping wet. Hi Sarah. It's nice to hear your voice. Do I what? The two dudes who visited the mountain in '69? Wyatt. Sure I remember. The flag-painted chopper. I still think is Tawny's father. What? Why would that relieve Luke? The other one, Billy? On the news? He's okay though. Are you sure? That's what I was afraid of. I always thought our paths might cross again sometime. He is gone. No. Killed in Florida? Yes. We can get together for sure Sarah, that will be fine. By now. Until then. Lisa hangs up the telephone. There is some anxiety in her face as she meets with the final understanding that she will never see Wyatt again, this time for certain. Honey Grove, Texas. The next morning. In flight, gliding highly above the community below, the scream of the eagle is heard, dropping in a direct motion towards the tattered community below it. The bird draws upon a rough-aware, older, painted-over aluminum mobile home. Clothing is hung out to dry on the lines. There is a rusted, dented '82 Ford dually pickup truck parked outside. The growing sound of dogs barking at the sky, backed by the crying of small children coming from within the ragged home. The distinct cry of the great white eagle haunts the ears of those who hear, as it draws swiftly toward the home. There is a woman in her early 40s tending to 3 children. Her beer-guzzling husband is watching TV. A network news program is on as hubby yells, "Mary Kay, close the fucking front door, the AC is on and get me another beer, hurry up bitch." She responds to his demand, "Come get your own goddamn beer. The door is closed and isn't your frick nigger, or haven't you learned that yet?" Angered, he yells, "Shut the fuck up. I'll be needing my beer bitch." Mary Kay moves to the fridge and draws a long neck for her overweight husband. She carries it to him at rest in a recliner chair. As she twists the top open, she glances at the TV screen where Billy's story is on the Hardline news show. She studies the earlier photo run of Billy and takes a certain interest. Then she remembers, talking to her son, "I know them. Look at that. I remember them from Bonham. We were in a cafe. 3 bikers came in for dinner and Blaze was told not to serve them. Susie's dad got really mad that night. I heard talk that they were going to find them and kick their rosy red Yankee asses. Her dad was a deputy back then. We all made a big deal about how cute they were. Pissed the men off big time." Hubby laughs. "Well, there's only one left. The other one got himself killed. You say you had the hots for these dudes? You are full shit." Mary Kay. He gets up suddenly and shoves her hard against the wall of the living room. She gets scared as he presses his elbow hard against her gifted chest. "Stop it. You are hurting me, you asshole." "Why would you hurt me? We didn't do anything. We wanted them to give us a ride and they refused. Susie's dad scared them off. I heard they killed them that night." "Stop it." Their 13-year-old son has a punky razor haircut with a braid behind his head, enters in and gets between his mum and dad, pushing them apart. "Leave my mom alone. She didn't do anything to you. Do not hurt my mum." Hubby stops and drinks down his beer. The boy hugs his mom with great affection. Mary Kay looks at the TV, noting the message, "Billy's story. 1-800-666-661. She memorizes it and returns to her chores. In the kitchen she is seen pondering thoughts and setting food out on the dining room table. "Come on kids. Daddy, it's ready." The Raggedy family comes forward to chow down. While Mary Kay slips to the telephone she dials 1-800-666-661. Only a busy signal is heard. New Orleans, Louisiana. That afternoon in New Orleans. Again, descending from above, now circling high atop the mysterious city. The eerie scream of the great eagle is heard as it descends in a graceful glide, soaring, then dropping down, aiming its path to a well-kept old apartment building. The focus draws upon a third-story window, illuminated from within. The view enters through the window, past potted plants which are throughout the room. The chilly breeze sweeps the room, blowing papers and plants about recklessly. In the background is the sound of water running in a shower bath, coupled to the sound of a caged parrot squawking to the blast of cold wind. The TV is on, tuned to Hardline News, Billy's story. In the colorful, well-kept living room, Karen exits the shower, towels and slips into a colorful robe. She enters the offset kitchen area seen from the living room. She finishes preparing her food and glances up to see a familiar face from a distant memory upon the screen. She stops what she was doing, finds the remote and bumps up the audio. If anyone in the viewing public can identify this stranger, please notify Hardline News in reference to Billy's story. Toll-free 1-800-666-6661. Karen finds a notepad and writes down the number. She stands thinking over the past, talking to her bird. I remember them, birdie. That was when Mama worked her tail off at Madame Tinker Toys. It was them who changed my life. I'll never forget that day when they left. I changed. It was something about them, a change for the better too. I probably wouldn't be alive today. As she speaks, her pet Persian cat slinks from a quiet place and finds her lap. As she sits in the chair, she strokes the cat with tender affection. As she reaches for her decorator telephone and dials 1-800-666-6661, only to reach a busy signal. North Florida. That evening, the Deuced Roadster is stopped in front of the modest Blue Springs Motel, in a small community, just off of Highway 10, west of Tallahassee. Jessica and Billy are inside the illuminated office. Unseen to them is a large white eagle resting on top of the large neon-lit motel sign. It can be seen above, peering over the grounds surrounding it, raising its great wings. A scream shatters the still quiet of the night, echoing into the darkness. The eerie scream is heard by some and disregarded by others. Jessica and Billy can be seen leaving the registration office. Both look up to the sign thinking they saw something there, only to discover the flashing neon. Billy takes the keys for room 210, as Jessica moves the little hot rod to the front of their room. She unloads what luggage they brought, secures the car, and joins Billy inside the motel room just long enough to place the baggage within. They both leave. Billy moves along with his cane. They are peering into shop windows as they walk along the sidewalk casually, looking for a place to have dinner. A medium-sized golden Cairn Terrier doggy passes by them, spinning a bushy tail in their direction as if to get their attention. Jessica speaks to it as its right paw reaches out and touches her leg. Nice little doggy. Yes, you're a cute little critter. Tell me, where is there a good place to eat? The dog's ears perk up as if it somehow understood. It sits for a moment, sneezes, then draws their attention with a couple barks and scampers down the sidewalk, looking back to see that they are following. They follow the frisky pup around a corner, where they discover a small tavern. Hickory smoke is belching out a barbecue chimney, spilling the scent of pork and beef being turned on a fire. Jessie is delighted. Do you smell that, man? I'd say it's dinner time. That little dog, do you suppose? The two linger outside for a few moments. There are a number of cars parked in the paved lot. Two late model Harley Davidsons are parked near the front door. There is music coming from within and illuminated beer signs in the windows. They enter the tavern, which has a pleasant environment, with booths and tables, a bar, 3 pool tables and a jukebox which is playing Voodoo Child by Stevie Ray Vaughan. A younger couple move from a table and begin a game of pool. The sound of the balls rolling into place tickles one's ears as Jessie says, "This is all right. Let's grab a table." Localize follow them around the tavern with curiosity, not hostility, as they are greeted by a cute barmaid dressed in western wear. "Hi, my name is Terry. What can I get for you folks tonight? Would you care to see a menu?" Jessie responds, "Yes, and a nice pitcher of beer like those two have." Jessica nods in the direction of the two bikers seated at the bar. The two looks at her and smile, while the waitress orders a pitcher and 2 frosted mugs, returning with a menu while the bartender fills their pitcher. One of the bikers gets up from the bar and is walking to the restroom. The chains and his heavy boots make a jingle and thud as he crosses the floor. Jessie orders from the menu as Blackie returns. He stops at their table. "I don't mean to bother you folks, but aren't you the dude on the TV? Billy's story?" Billy nods as Jessie answers, Hess the dude. Who are you? The biker grins. Well, that's Bandana over there, is the one who recognized you. I'm Blackie, Jesse. Those are your Harleys outside. They look nice. You can tell a lot about a dude by the way their bike looks. Billy comments. I used to have a panhead. It was red with yellow flames. Blackie grins as Jesse inquires, do you guys live up this way? We're looking for information. He answers, we used to. We're here to visit with some chicks we know. We live down in Daytona Beach. The waitress returns to their table presenting them with draft beers in chilled, frosty mugs and barbecue beef sandwich platters. Billy digs in. Jesse continues talking with Black. I might know of this place we are looking for. It's in Crestview. Robertson Towing Company. Blackie knows. You mean Robertson Brothers? They used to have the police contract. They sold out. It's mostly a parts yard today. Jesse is delighted. Man, but it's still there, right? Do you know anyone who might have worked there in, say, 1969? Blackie grins. Let's see. Old Pappy, he used to own that place. Has still around, lives over in Vernon, with his daughter, Peggy. Let me do some checking. Blackie leaves to speak with Bandana. Jessica and Billy chow down while they talk. Bandana gets up and moves to the payphone, drops in a quarter and talks to someone. In a few moments, he returns to Blackie at the bar. They talk and Blackie ambles back to Jessica and Billy. Pappy says he remembers back in '69. There were two bikes went down on old Highway 90, over toward the War Memorial. He remembered because he's the one who towed it in. He said there was an old hardtail up in the shed when he sold the place. Nobody ever came to claim it. He said there was holes from a shotgun all through it. Some biker was shot, killed on it. This got Jesse's attention. How far is Vernon from here? Do you think he would talk to us? Blackie adds, Vernon isn't too far from here. He said that the cops acted kind of funny. There was buckshot holes all over the bikes. But the cops made jokes about the bikers being too high on drugs and alcohol. They collided. It was written up as an accident. Jesse informed him. I found an old police report. It said that they were drunk and crashed. Billy asked, how long ago did the place sell? Blackie continued, about 5 years ago. Pappy's wife died in a car accident just before he sold it. Jesse pleaded, I'd like to meet with this Pappy. We can pay you guys something if you have time to take us over there tomorrow. Could you, man? Blackie nodded, in approval. Vernon is south, on 10. On old 79. Peggy is a real cute girl. I'd like to see her anyway. How Pappy would enjoy the company. She tells him, listen, we're at the Blue Springs Motel. Can you meet us there in the morning? He responds, Blue Springs? Sure, I know where that is. Say about 10 o'clock. If we're a bit late, pay it no mind. We will be there. Billy asks, those bikes outside, are they glides or what? Blackie laughed some. They give them new names all the time. They are basically the same. 1200's mine is the Candy Burble, 98 FXRT. Bandana has the Springer Softail. There it was. Jesse comments, listen, I forgot to introduce myself. We were on the road all day. I'm Jessica Severson. They shake hands as Blackie moves back to his friend. Jessica orders them up a pitcher with a bag of ice that they top the full pitchers with, on her. Blackie and Bandana wave thanks to Jessica and Billy when they get their beer. My head's in Mississippi. YZZ Top is belching from the juke as they finish eating and down the pitcher before them. The waitress, Terry, returns. Anything else I can get for you folks? Another pitcher? Jesse asks her, are those dudes alright? I mean, they seem cool. Do you know them? The waitress, Bandana and Blackie? They're way cool. Bandana lost his parents in an airline crash. He's got a real nice bike shop and house in Daytona. They both used to live up this way. They come back to visit. Jessica looks at the dinner tab and pays in cash, leaving a tip for the barmaid. She and Billy get up from the table and make their way to the door. She turns to wave to Blackie. See you dudes tomorrow around 10 o'clock. Have a good one, man. Thanks. Jessica and Billy stop to admire the two Harley-Davidsons parked outside the tavern, then move casually toward the motel to call it a night. The little golden terrier had waited for them and sits up, moving playfully along with them as they walk. He sneezes a bit, which amuses the two visitors. "Well, God bless you, puppy." Jesse laughs. "I'll call you Aku." Nearing 10. The next morning, the thunder of exhaust pipes of two Harley-Davidsons are heard coming up the road. Jessica and Billy are inside their room. Bandana and Blackie approach the parking area, pull in side by side. They stay on the running bikes as their eyes scan the motel. Jessica can be seen looking through the curtains, and in a few moments she and Billy are coming out the door to join the two bikers. Bandana greets them. "Would you like to pack with us?" Blackie adds. "Great day for a ride." Now Billy gets a notion. "I can't pack with anyone. It's just not me." He laughs as Bandana nods. "I heard that." "Well, how about if you and Jessica ride mine? I'll pack with Blackie." The drone rumble of the Harleys at idle teases Billy's ears. Bandana dismounts and motions for him to come closer. He shows him the motorcycle, letting him get the feel of the bike. Billy rides it up the road, takes it around the block and returns in a few moments, grinning. Jessica climbs in behind him on the soft tail. As Bandana climbs in behind Blackie, the bikes snap into gear and roll out. They move through traffic with ease as Billy sings, "I'm back in the saddle again. Out where a friend is a friend." He hot dogs a bit as they putt along. Meanwhile, approaching a 15-acre farm outside Vernon, Florida, from some distance and above, the screaming screech of the eagle is breaking the silence of the atmosphere. The farm below draws nearer in a wide circular motion, spiraling downward, gliding gracefully. The shadow of the great bird can be seen on the surface of the ground below, in well-kept order. A large home is graced by a stable, with a corral lined with horses. There is a modern barn. A tractor is seen parked next to it. A white 1963 Corvette coupe is parked in the driveway, near the home. As the view descends, a dust cloud from two motorcycles can be made out coming up the road approaching the home. Two dogs bark as the eagle passes overhead, chasing the shadow that streaks over the yard. There is the movement of a shapely, young woman coming from the front door of the home. She peers up at the sky to see what all the excitement is about, observing, for a moment, the white eagle. Peggy looks overhead as she walks back toward the corral. She hears the eagle scream as it swoops down over the rooftop of her home. Looking up, she follows the course of the magnificent bird as it glides overhead. The eagle's eyes are peeled on what passes underneath him in its glide path. She nears the corral where horses are prancing about playfully, as she listens to the screaming song of the lone eagle. Now gliding beyond her, the eagle is in the air looking for a roost. It sees a large dead tree and elects to land upon a limb, dropping gracefully, its huge wings raised to lessen speed of the approach. Its talons reach out to grasp the limb as it comes to rest. Smaller branches of the tree are blown away by its weight and powerful wings and are flung into the air, effortlessly. The great bird lets out a scream as its eyes peer out across the fields in its surround, observing the approach of the two motorcycles as they amble up the driveway. Peggy is a modern, southern country girl. The denim she wears hides a slender, attractive figure. Her eyes don't miss a move as the sound of the motorcycles coming up the driveway grabs her attention. She walks casually in their direction, making her way back to the garage. Near the front of the home is the 63 Corvette. Parked in the garage behind her is a new white Firebird convertible, which belongs to her. The wind teases her hair as she awaits the arrival of the visitors. In the background is heard a door as it closes. Peggy is joined by Pappy, her grey-beard father, who moves close to her, as the two watch the approaching hogs. He is wearing a cowboy hat, western shirt and overalls. Reaching inside his upper pocket, he pulls out a pair of mirrored sunglasses, placing them on as the bikes pull to a stop, shut down and the riders dismount. Pappy greets them. "Good morning, people." Bandana answers, "Morning, Pappy." "Peggy, we brought you some visitors. This here is Jessica and Billy. They wanted to ask you about that bike wreck on Old 90. The one we talked about last night." Pappy moves to shake their hands. Jessica first, looking to Billy, he comments, "You sir, look familiar to me. I just can't place it right now. I have seen you before." Jesse responds, "One of those bikes you towed in back in 1969 was his." He answers, "More recent than that. Hell, it will come to me. When I got to that wreck there was the body of the rider in the ambulance. It was the damnedest thing." Peggy adds, "Dad, you saw him on that TV show the other night. Hardline News, remember? He doesn't miss that show, that and the FBI's Most Wanted and Cops." He is startled. Was that you they were making all that fuss about? Jesse answers, that was him, one and the same. Billy's story has been on all over the country. Pappy shakes his head to the negative. No, I mean he was on the FBI's most wanted. Hell is the one they say killed some attorney in Texas. Billy looks angry. What? I haven't heard anything about that. That's not me. Say mister, do you really remember the crash? How come only one bike was towed in? Jesse comments. The towing slip in his files showed only one bike being in impound storage. Pappy adds, damn, you sure look like the one on the most wanted. Well, in 1969 all I had was an old Ford tow rig. We didn't have a rollback yet. It was up to me to take the bikes in. It was quite a drive to get there. The bike I brought in was still in one piece. It was late by the time I got back. Hell, the other bike was all over the place. Caught fire. It was too far gone to bother with. Not worth salvage. The next day one thing led to another and I just left it there. Bandana informs the bear. I used to work for Pappy. I was 10 when I started. I remember a Harley up in the shed. It was rusting in peace. Pappy remembered it too. That's the one. It was red with yellow flames. Old Panred. The damn thing was riddled with shotgun pellets. When I said something to the cops about that, they laughed. Said the bikers probably shot each other. They figured Yell was on dope. It was still up in the shed when I sold that place to Jake. This arouses Billy's attention. You're saying my old bike was still there when you sold the place to who? Jake, Pappy exclaimed. We kept waiting for someone to claim it. That's why it was never sold as scrap. Some people looked to buy it, but figured it was bad luck since someone was to have died on it. Superstition, I guess. Jesse inquires. Well, he didn't die, which is his good luck. Pappy, is there anyone we can call about that bike? Is Jake still there? Blackie. Pappy was saying last night that another biker was killed over that way some time back. Same road. Who adds? That's right. A few years back old Reb was killed there. Just about the same place where I picked up that old Panred. Jake picked that one up. It was hit by a shotgun. When Bandana called me, I thought that was the one he was asking about. Then he said 1969. Billy is annoyed. So, the law dogs just figured that we killed each other? We were wasted on alcohol and drugs, then just crashed? Jesse observes. The cops just didn't give a damn. The killers just went free. They probably killed this dude Reb. So many years later. Pappy, I could call Jake. His turned that place into Crestview Auto Recycling. Hell, I'd bet that old hardtail is still back in the shed. Jesse is elated. Oh, would you do that? Is it very far to Crestview? Pappy nods in agreement and moves toward the house. He enters, the door closes behind him. Peggy, his extremely youthful, healthy and attractive daughter, approaches Bandana and Blackie. Hi, Bandana, Blackie. It's been a long time. You should visit more often. She moves close to touch them, straightens their hair, smoothing them over with her fingers before she offers each a heartwarming hug. She exclaims, you should have seen this eagle I saw just before you got here. Huge. Awesome. Man, it was pure white. It landed at back there. She points in the direction that the eagle flew, then looks down at black sate rings and spiked leather wristbands. Man, oh man, look at all that hardware. That was the most beautiful bird I ever saw. You all come inside. I'll fix you up with a cold one. Blackie laughs. Far be it from me to turn down a cold one. Thanks, Peggy. The four visitors follow her into the home as the song, Poncho and Lefty by Emmylou Harris fills the air from a stereo. Framed pictures of horses, some of people. No paintings, only photographs decorate the very Western decorum. The four enter the living room and make themselves comfortable as Peggy finds the refrigerator and gathers long necks of beer for her guests. Returning, Pappy can be heard in another room speaking to someone on the telephone. Jesse comments, that air conditioner feels great. This is a very fine house. It feels like the Old West. Peggy smiles. I've been winning prizes with my horses. See over there? She points to a modest trophy chest against the wall across the room, filled with photographs, golden trophies and many colored ribbons. Pappy rejoins them all from another room laughing. I got good news and bad news. The good news is that old hardtail is right where I left it. Bad news is you owe one hell of a storage bill. Jesse is blown away. After all those years, I'll be damned. Billy likes Peggy and comments to Pappy, your daughter is a very beautiful woman, who nods in agreement, like her mother was. Yes sir. That's her over there. Pappy points to a framed portrait photograph of his wife on the wall above the massive, black soft leather couch. Bandana agrees, just like her mother was. Pappy, if we have got to get to Crestview then let's hit it. The four move to leave the house. Blackie opens the door letting the others out. He follows. All move directly to the Harleys and fire up. Blackie gives Peggy a hug and kiss before the hogs snap into gear and roll out the driveway. Shortly thereafter in Crestview, the screaming of the great white eagle, far above the remote auto salvage yard, breaks the silence of the skies as it begins its descent, spiraling down over the wooded area below. On the roadway leading to the salvage yard, two motorcycles are seen approaching the gates to the driveway. The descent continues as the bird sweeps down over the treetops, gliding as its shadow can be seen on the grounds below. There is a gravel driveway that leads to the small house and office on the land. In the boneyard there are cars, then ghosts of cars as the weathered hulks rust in peace, or in pieces. Faded paint, missing windshields, missing hoods and fenders. The acreage is filled with the cancered flesh of steel. Some date back to the early 30s, where others are new. The viewpoint drops nearer the ground as it draws the attention of two large dogs as they hop and bark, chasing the shadow of this glorious bird in its approach. A middle-aged man dressed in a flannel shirt and bib overalls puts aside a cutting torch, removes his welding goggles and peers upward as the eagle sweeps directly overhead. There is heard the exhaust thunder of two unmuffled Harleys coming down the driveway. Jake is still looking in the direction of the great bird. I'll be damned, look at the size of that bird. Man oh man, damn thing is whiter than snow. The Harleys are approaching. Jake looks toward them as they roll past a derelict flatbed trailer loaded with rusted I-beams and steel stock. A rusted frame from a crane boom lays alongside. The bikes amble their way between a few carcasses of old cars and come to a stop a few feet from Jake. The passengers dismount as the riders shut down. With a pop of exhaust, Blackie greets him. Jake, we just came from old Pappy's. He called you? Jake nods. Damn, you should have seen the eagle that just flew over a few seconds ago. Damn thing was pure white. Never saw anything like that in all my days. Jesse comments. Peggy said something about a big white eagle. I wonder if it's the same bird. Blackie inquires. You said there was a Harley still up in the shed? Jake nods in affirmation, looking to the shed 30 feet west of where they stand. He leads the four in that direction as the dogs sniff out the visitors. They reach the ramshackle two-car garage. Jake unlocks the padlock, swinging the doors left, then right, adding, I got this 1936 Ford Phaeton. It's the last year they made them. The folks bought it in '36. Never been restored. It's bone stock too. They venture inside as Jake turns on the overhead lights, exposing the Ford Phaeton, in excellent, unrestored condition, along with a variety of tools, parts. A number of motorcycles, in various condition, are leaned against one another. Old wooden benches are filled with relic parts, some rare and valuable. A blanket of dust covers most of the items in the shed, except for the magnificent 36. Jake's pride and joy, Lucy here, is that a dream car or what? All but Billy show enthusiasm over the antique Ford. His eyes are scanning the garage for his old hog. There are parts everywhere. Wire wheels, some parts hung from walls, others from overhead rafters. He scans over the motorcycles wondering which one was his. He comments, enough about the Ford. Man, where is my Harley? Jake looks startled. It's right over there, under that canvas stuff, over in the corner. Jake continues to show off his 36 to the guests. Jessica likes it, having been into old cars all of her life, inheriting it all from her dad. Blackie notices Billy limping back to catch a peek at the covered van head. With many obstructions in his way, he breaks away to assist Billy, begins to pull wheels and parts aside to clear a path to the bike. Man, I did not come this far to look at an antique car. Blackie assists the crippled biker. Here, let me help you with this stuff. He's got a fortune here. Billy is grateful. This bum leg, I'll never get used to it. You are all right, man. I mean it, too. Thanks. Jessica comes to assist the two warriors, helping them move things away from the covered Harley. They can see flat, dry rotted tires under the torn cover. Blackie helps. There, let's lift this cover off. Look out. Damn, there goes a rat. Big old boy, too. Jessica jumps and runs, startled, tries to get clear of the gnarly rat. Billy laughs. That is my motorcycle, mister. That is her. Alright, look at all the holes in the tank. You can't tell me we weren't shot. Bandana joins them. Jesse and Jake look on as they drag the heavy machine from where it sat for so many years. Blackie clears a path, getting things out of the way of the Hulk. It looks like the tank has been removed before. It's not bolted on. Front tire is an even 21-incher. Front brake is freezing up. Damned won't turn. Billy notes. Look at the triple tree. Damn, there's not a part missing. Hell of a lot of rust. Much rust. Bandana denotes. Took some damage on a skid. See where the frame is worn away? Blackie shouts. Jake, I need some tools to free up the brakes. Old drag bars on a stretched fork. Chrome on the front fender is fried. Jake moves to display a small toolbox to Blackie, who responds and carries it to the open area where they manage to drag the relic. He sets to work. Billy, well, it'll never run again. The seat is all gone. Looks like mice made a home out of it. Man, Bandana assures him, I have seen worse run again. The engine is probably good. See, no oil puddles on the floor? If it had oil in it, it could run again. Billy disagrees. Run again in hell. Man, no, it would take a miracle worker. Blackie defends his brothers. Man, Bandana is just that, a miracle worker, who adds, at least you had enough sense to run a front brake. A lot of the old choppers didn't run one. As Billy remembers, what didn't run one? It made it hard to slow down. Maybe it would have kept him alive. Man, I don't like to think about it. Blackie works and manages to free up the stuck front wheel. He and Bandana drag the old chopper outside, carefully, around the 36 Ford. All hands are looking over the relic Harley outside of the garage. Jake closes the doors and snaps the padlock back into place. Billy is reminiscing. We had a shop in Anaheim, built both bikes. Choppers. I remember. We bought 2 of everything. Wyatt bought a chrome hardtail they had. We tipped them because they did it in a week. Bandana comments. All things considered, it's in fair shape. The engine isn't even seized. Look at the rims. Not even rusted. Jake scratches his chin. That belongs to you. Does it? How do I know you're not pulling my leg? It doesn't take a moment for Billy to defend himself. Look at my leg. See this limb? See this cane? I got that when I laid this here motorcycle down 30 years ago, after I was shot with a gun that put those holes in that motorcycle. He lifts up his shirt to show the scars made by the shotgun blast. Jesse assures him, I found a California registration in his property file at the hospital. We have it over in the motel. Jake is somewhat amused. Well, at least I know who to bill for storage. Let's see, $8 per day, 365 days times 30 years. Well, I'll need my calculator for this one. Billy is not amused. Look, forget it, man. I guess it belongs to you. He starts to turn away. I'll tell you what. You give me $100 and pay the freight, on one condition. Jessica reaches into her jeans pocket, slips out a wallet, snapping a C note from it, handing it to Jake, who is chuckling to himself. She inquires, what's that condition? Jake, wondering if she was expected to perform for the geezer. You promised to let me see that hammer when it's back on the road. Billy laughs. That's a deal, mister. That is a done deal. Jessie feels some shame for her thoughts. That is very nice of you, Jake. It takes a special person to do that. She hugs him as Blackie asks, do you know anything at all on the other scoot that went down on Old 90? Pappy said he left the second bike there. Bandana adds, he said it was blown apart, not enough left to salvage. Blackie begins to push the relic back toward the area where their bikes are as all follow along, conversing. Jake says, all that went on long before I ever bought this place. If it was left out there, I doubt if there is anything left today. Bandana states, it was right in the same place, Pappy said, where Reb was killed. Jake answers, now I remember that one. Reb was a good old boy too. I sold his bike. His poor mother was torn apart by that. He was a veteran, you know. Jesse empathizes. We were thinking that, well, just maybe, the same men who shot Billy might have killed Reb. If the cops had done their job the first time, Reb could still be alive. Jake states, if it was the same ones. The cops that tended to Reb's murder were real concerned, but they were the new breed. Blackie says, I know just where it is. Out west of Death Uniacke Springs, by the War Memorial. Jake adds, that is where I picked up Reb's bike. What was it, an FX or FXR? Something, Bandana observes. I'll bet someone knows something over that way and they aren't talking. Jesse, Jake. If we paid you some money, could you rent us a truck? I'm a little saddle sore and Billy would like to visit the place that they went down. He gives them the nod. I have no problem with it. See that old 3/4 ton over there? Jake points up the drive toward a faded, dark green 1956 Ford pickup that is parked there, as Bandana comments, laughing. Is that old thing still around? Hot damn, I don't believe it. I remember driving that truck when I worked for Pappy. Hell, I was only 14 or 15 then. They all moved to the rusted relic sitting alongside the driveway. When they reach it, a few things are in the bed which Blackie clears away as Jake states. The keys are in it. That thing might be old, but it will get you there. I put a 351 Cleveland in it about a year ago. Came out of a Mustang I had. It hauls ass. Don't let it get away from you, he laughed. Blackie gets in behind the wheel and cranks the beast over. It snaps to life with a bang and its loud exhaust makes the sound of a hot rod. As he places the 4-speed gearbox into first, it lumbers ahead, effortlessly. Blackie shouts out, "Do you want to sell me this?" Jake nods to the negative. It eats gas. Just make sure the tank is full when you return it. He pulls ahead and turns the Ford around. Jessica climbs inside the cab. Billy follows. Bandana prepares to enter the bed when Jake calls him to his side. He leaves for a moment then returns to the truck with a shovel, placing it in the bed. You might need this. Jake asked me to stay back with him and help pull an engine. You guys be careful out there. See you when you get back. They all nod in acknowledgement toward their bro as he moves in the direction of Jake. They wave goodbye with glad hands. The old truck has no problem as it rumbles out the driveway, stops momentarily, then turns onto the pavement heading easterly. Inside the cab the threesome is ready. Jesse comments, "Just how far is this place?" Blackie answers, "We just go east on Old 90, not real far, an hour or so." She includes, "It's exciting, like looking for a buried treasure." Billy gets disgusted. "Don't tell him that. Now, I just want to see where it all happened." Blackie asks, "Buried treasure? You don't think that old chopper is still out there after all these years, do you?" Jesse assures them, "If it is, we will find it. I can tell you that. Something will be there even if it's a nut or a bolt." The truck is moving down the road. Jessica fumbles with the crude radio. A lot of static is all that she can find. Billy begins to feel tired, keeping it to himself. He feels sick, strained and stressed. The smell of exhaust and the drone rumble of the old Ford lend to his discomfort. It appears to Jessica that he is falling asleep. His head nods. He begins to sweat, backsliding, a psychological spasm. He loses consciousness and experiences another flashback. Inside Billy's head, the drone sound of the truck's tires pounding against the asphalt, a deafening echo that the tires make when they strike a pothole on their time-beaten roadway. The smell of exhaust gases turned sulfuric in Billy's nostrils, altogether creating an eerie tone in his mind. He looks over to Jessica and Blackie and finds them distant. Shaking his head from side to side, he tries to fight the oncoming madness. He peers into the cracked rear-view mirror outside his window. From behind he sees an oncoming form, larger than the truck. It appears insect in nature, demonic in spirit. He feels the creature rock the truck with its weight as it climbs aboard. In the rear bed, turning his head to look back, he sees the creature's arm passing through the rear glass of the old Ford, but not breaking the backlight. Long, bony fingers, claw-like, grab Jessica by her hair and with a quick snap of its wrist, decapitates the beautiful woman right before Billy's eyes. Her body falls in a slump onto Billy, then to the floor. Her head is pulled back through the backlight, still without breakage. Blackie turns his head in pure horror at the sight before him. The truck veers from side to side, as the demonic fingers find Blackie, snatching him from behind the wheel. He grabbed the wheel so tightly that his arms from the shoulders down remain clutching the wheel of the out-of-control relic. Billy tries to scream in absolute horror, but fear has paralyzed his ability to speak. The truck goes out of control and leaves the road heading into wooded brush. It bounds, throwing everything in the cab in every direction, coming to rest only after slamming headlong into a large tree. The impact of the sudden stop slams Billy hard into the steel dash panel. He remains conscious, watching blood drip from his forehead. He sees the bony fingers of the hideous beast once again, now reaching for his left shoulder. It grabs him with a grip that rips through his skin like razor-sharp teeth. The pain becomes unbearable as he sees his blood rushing out of the deep cuts. Afraid to look back and see what beast this is that has conquered his soul, he tries to fight the great pain which is befouling him. Hideous shrieks come from the demon's mouth. Its head bangs hard against the steel cab repeatedly, denting the 16-gauge steel, as if it were angry that Billy did not look at it. Then the mangled and total truck, surrealistically, starts up, backing away from the tree and over the underbrush. Driverless, it backs upon the roadway, seemingly by itself. Billy watches as the shift lever grinds into first gear. The tires churn and burn as the truck bursts into forward motion. Jessica's lifeless body is tossed about as the high-powered engine winds to maximum RPM, then bangs second gear. The rear tires break loose. Again, as the Ford accelerates, driverless, it grabs third gear at 90 mph. And the truck races on, then fourth, now at over 130 mph. Ever still climbing, racing down the road, when all of the glass blows from inside the vehicle with an explosion, sending countless pieces of glass in every direction. The demon wind within the truck levitates Jessica's body, lifting her into the turbulent air. Weightlessly, and in a moment, she is sucked out the windshield area of the cab, disappearing into oblivion. The hood is blown from the runaway truck as it races on. Now the fenders, one by one, are torn from their bolts and fall away. Suddenly all the instruments are melting, smoking, exploding with the speedometer needle pegged hard to the right. The steel roof of the cab is torn from its framework and flung back to expose the hideous creature which towers over Billy as if he were a toy doll. It raises its long, slender, bony right arm up over its head and swings forcefully, backhanding Billy, knocking his teeth out. The horrified biker looks up in terror at the hideous face of the beast. Its snake-like eyes is as violent as its breath. It raises its head to display barracuda-like teeth which snap at Billy. Letting out a gut-wrenching scream, it draws close to him. Its serpent tongue licks at Billy's flesh. Razor-sharp talons slice into his face as it strokes him, cutting his skin like the claws of a cat. He backs himself down to escape the demonic creature, catching sight of something descending down from the skies above him. The bird of prey's 12-foot wings is pulled back in a rapid descent. It is racing toward what is left of the truck. Knowing he is only moments from death, Billy sees the great white bird's talons sink deep into the demonic beast's flesh. The beak of the eagle plucks out both eyes of the creature, sending it into a blind rage. Shrieking, it reaches out and grasps Billy's long braid of hair. In a moment the demon is swept away, taking Billy's life with it as it clings to his braid. Billy screams out in absolute horror and pain, certain in the moment that he is dead and is being delivered to perfect hell. There is in his mind a momentary lapse. Wyatt is standing before him and he senses some relief. Cool like he always was. Billy calms down. There is no sign of any beast. Wyatt is there and reaches out to his bow. Billy just stares, uncertain of what he is seeing or why. He sees Wyatt's hand reach out to him, and although hesitant, he reaches out slowly to grasp his friend's right arm. There is a mighty wind all about them. Trees are bending, breaking and snapping off at the trunks. Wyatt is steadfast and cool as Billy pulls himself toward him, smiling and quiet. Wyatt comforts him somewhat and pulls him to what appears to be the rocky top of a mountain. Billy sits at his side, trying to speak but can't think of what to say. Suddenly, where Wyatt is standing crumbles and falls down the mountainous edge, taking Wyatt with it. Billy is shattered and horrified. He watches Wyatt fall to the depths below. Then the very ground beneath him shakes and quivers. As he loses his grip, it gives way and he too is falling. He makes every attempt to grab onto something, but it is in vain, as he lets out a hideous shriek of true horror as loud as he possibly could yell. As he screams, it shocks his two friends. Blackie locks up the brakes on all four wheels of the truck and it skids to an abrupt stop, getting almost sideways as the left front brake grabs on the roadside. He races outside the truck and opens Billy's door. The very fevered and sweating passenger falls out upon the grassy roadside, breathing hard and heavy. Jessica moves over him, understanding just what had transpired. She tends to him gently. Eventually, His eyes open to behold her power of youth and beauty, as her love begins to heal his tormented existence. He begins to come to hearing her tiny voice. Billy, Billy, are you all right? Can you hear me, man? His eyes draw a focus on his companions as Blackie sees him coming to. Man, it sounded like someone was ripping your head off your body. I have never heard anything like that in my life. Are you all right? Somewhat out of breath, the shaken Billy responds. The truck, something wanted me dead. I was bleeding everywhere. It wasn't a dream. I was supposed to have died. Jessica knows. You cheated Death. That's just what it is. Death had you and you broke away. Death is very jealous and possessive. You cheated it and now it wants to punish you. Billy tries to laugh. I've faced the wrath of every other bastard on this planet. Why not the wrath of Death? Jesse continues. It embraced you. Death loved you and you were unfaithful to its demands. That's all, man. Now, Blackie comments. What kind of drugs you been doing? I'd like to try some. I've never heard anything like that before. Jessica explains. Has been through all this before. It's unique to him, like a seizure. He'll be alright. Now, Blackie sums it up. Out dancing with the Dark Angel of Death, she falls in love with him, gets jealous and possessive. He decides to break up with her. I get it, man. Must been a love thing. Billy insists. You don't know. It's real. The demonic bastard is real. Too real, man. Wyatt was there. It was wet. He pulled me up on some rocks then fell. Everything fell away and I was falling. Then I heard Jesse's voice. It all was too real. Jesse comforts him. Of course it is, man. It's not a laughing matter. What happens to him is perfectly real. Jessica holds his head, comforting him on the roadside. In a few moments, Blackie and she help him to his feet, then back to the truck. He leans against the front fender and begins to gather his wits and sanity. Jessica helps him back into the truck, comforting him as they pull away. She informs him. It looked like you were asleep, sweating a lot, but it looked like you were sleeping, man. He tries to tell them what it did to you. It killed both of you, right in this damn truck. It was too real. The demonic bastard thing killed you. Then Blackie urges, you keep your eyes open now. We are nearing the area you guys went down. Look for anything you might remember. The three of them are peering out of the cab. The truck slows, creeping along the untraveled old highway. As Billy catches his breath, he gazes over the terrain looking for anything remotely familiar. Unseen by the explorers, gliding gracefully some distance away, the great white eagle raises its silvery wings, flying in the direction of the trio. It is well above the trees as it sweeps overhead, descending gradually toward the vicinity of their search, screaming its song. High above the earth it sees their vehicle some distance away, and below, it continues the descent, as it drops closer to the ground, eclipsing the sun and the ground as its shadow crosses the terrain below, drawing nearer every moment to where the truck is rolling along slowly. It drops, crossing low over the road directly in front of the old Ford. Blackie spots the awesome bird. Man, did you see the bird? Jesse responds. It looked like an eagle. A pure white eagle. Blackie reminds them. Peggy and Jake both said they saw a white eagle today. I'll bet it's the same one. Jesse, the Lord moves in mysterious ways. Man, they slow to a stop looking in the direction where the eagle flew. Well off the road where Jessica sees something shining, reflecting the sunlight. She squints her lovely eyes, pointing. Look over there, I see something near those trees. The three exit the Ford, eyes looking in the direction of where she saw something. Jessica and Blackie rush on ahead toward the underbrush. Billy follows behind them. Jesse states, it was right over there. I know there was something. Billy adds, White Spike had a lot of chrome. Jessica recognizes something. Look, there it is, that's what I saw. They move through and clear away some heavy underbrush and do locate something. A rotting door of an old truck, rusted, dented, with broken glass. The remains of a rearview mirror had caught the afternoon sun, which is what had caught her eye. Billy lets loose with a swift kick at the door, adding another dent and breaking what was left of the mirror. Blackie isn't amused. Now you did it. 7 years bad luck. Broken mirror. Jesse scoffs. Get out. It was already busted. Billy isn't amused at all. Man, if we don't find White Spike, I don't have to worry about it. I won't be alive another 7 years. As he levels another kick at the old door, venting his anxiety, his frustration. Blackie looks at his wristwatch. It's almost 4 o'clock. Do you see anything that you remember? We should be close. probably within a mile. Billy looks down the road in both directions, scanning for anything that might ring his bell. He appears somewhat annoyed, angry, when they start to walk back toward the truck. He comments, 4 o'clock already. Damn, this is crazy to begin with. Nobody is going to leave a Harley laying alongside the road for 30 fucking years, no matter what condition it's in. Blackie assures him nobody lives out here. Man, if Pappy left it here there was not much left. Anybody else would have considered it junk as well. Unconvinced, Billy insists, would you man? Hell no. They reach the truck and look down the road. Blackie points out, if you were headed northeast, like we are now, it would have gone down on the right side of the road. The shooter's truck would have to be headed west. They would have had to shoot him from the driver's side window. Billy remembers all too well. The asshole who fired at me shot from the passenger window. I remember Wyatt coming back to help me. He got back on his bike. I saw him leave. I heard the crash a few seconds later. He might have hit them head on. There was fire and a lot of smoke up on the side of the road. That's the last I remember. Blackie asks, did you get as far as the old Confederate memorial? Billy recalls, no. I wish there was no memorial. We would not have been on this road. Nothing would have happened. Blackie informs them, it's just outside of Marianna, Florida. We got to be close. Let's split up and walk in the direction of the memorial. Jesse, let's work. Even if someone did find it, there probably is still something left. We will find that. Offender, the wheel. Let's get started. The treasure hunters set out easterly. Blackie crosses the road. Jessica and Billy are about 20 feet apart and move along, combing the ground for something that may resemble a motorcycle part. Anything that shines are inspected. Old hubcaps, tires, broken glass. Nothing misses their eyes. Unseen by the explorers, the great white bird is at rest upon a teetering branch of a dead tree about 1,000 yards from them, making not a sound as it ruffles its wings and silvery white feathers. It watches them move up the roadway, as its eyes are fixed upon the visitors to its domain. The Ford pickup becomes as distant to them as the eagle. It continues to observe them. Suddenly, it lets out a distinctive scream, then again, which is heard by the three as they look to the direction of the sound. The great bird flutters its wings, lifting upward from the limb, raising above the ground, knowing where it intends to go. It climbs and glides gracefully with a few sweeps of its glorious wings. At treetop level it dips one wing and passes around a wide circle, spiraling downward to the roadway below. It lands well ahead of the three who watch in awe as the great eagle comes to rest upon the roadway. The bird stands proud and tall. It flaps its great wings, dancing in their direction, then turning. It lets out a scream that echoes into the skies. Other birds in the vicinity flee from their perch to the sound. The three explorers move in the direction of the eagle, with caution, as to not disturb it. It becomes apparent to them that the eagle doesn't consider them predatory. Jessica, Billy and Blackie watch as it struts up and down the roadway. Its eyes turn to peer at them. Then the ground. It parades down the aged asphalt. Jessie whispers, it knows we are here, as if it wants to tell us something. Isn't it beautiful? It's huge. Blackie whispers, I wish I had Bandana's video camera. This would be worth a fortune. The three walks toward it slowly. The bird moves along the roadside, peering across the ground until it finds something buried in the soil. Stopping, it diligently plucks into the dirt with its beak. Again and again it strikes into the ground, loosening the dirt, using its great talons to overturn the topsoil, kicking it into the air and across the asphalt. In a few moments the bird finds what it is looking for, freeing it from years of erosion and weather. It pulls something leathery from the ground. Shaking the dirt free with its head, it flings the object high into the air. It comes to rest in the middle of the road. The bird struts to it and plucks it up with its beak, shakes it again and again, steadfast. It drags its prize to the edge of the road, setting it down. It stands tall, peering at the three, letting out a scream, raises its mighty wings in a fanning flutter, then lifts upward, soaring directly above them, circling, then vanishes, ascending into the wilderness. The three watch the great bird, then break into a run toward whatever it pulled from the ground. Jessica starts running towards it. It looks like a dead animal or something for it to eat. Probably a possum. Blackie says, he left it on the road. Whatever it is, he rejected it. Billy is limping as fast as he can behind Jessica and Blackie, who reach the area well ahead of him. Jesse is there first. It looks like a jacket. An old leather jacket. Blackie is disappointed. Somebody threw it out the window when they were driving. Jessica and Blackie peer at the object. Billy is still making his way toward them. It is a black, weather-beaten leather jacket. Its stitching is rotted, hung together only by a few threads. There are 2 small holes sewn into the chest area, just over the heart, where a police badge is placed. Blackie identifies it, a cop's old leather jacket. I can tell, those holes are for a badge man. Damned law dog. Blackie gives a swift kick to the old leather jacket, which sends it sailing through the air. Just as Billy arrives, one of the arms of the jacket separates in the air. As Billy moves toward the jacket, he body checks Blackie, sending him reeling onto the ground. He grabs the leathers from the ground and looks at it with true concern. Jessica queries, "What is it, man?" Billy is elated. It's Wyatt's jacket. Look, that used to be an American flag on the back. See the red, white and blue threads? Billy brushes the dirt from the tattered rag, treating it like a long-lost friend, getting vibes from the thing. Blackie is upset about getting knocked to the ground, picks himself up. "Sorry man, I didn't know, I just saw where the badge goes." Jesse comments, "It's alright. It was his best friend's jacket. He didn't mean to knock you down." Billy assures them, "This is Wyatt's jacket." Jesse comments, "You can't tell me that Eagle doesn't know why we are here." Billy agrees, "Like something from the spirit world. I see a white eagle in, well, whatever it is I go through." Blackie laughs, "You are the spirit world, man." Jesse adds, "How else can you explain it? The damn bird has been just ahead of us all day." Billy remembers more. "Wyatt laid this jacket over me, then left for help. This is his jacket. They must have left it behind when I was picked up." Blackie observes, "Then this is where you went down." Blackie scans the immediate area, looking for anything of interest. Jesse inquires, "Do you remember the people who picked you up?" Billy responds, "Just Wyatt. Then there was a girl, young girl, she sat next to me. Her eyes were like a wolf, whiter than blue." Jesse adds, "There was nothing in the file about who brought you to the hospital at Defuniak. They only took you there and left." Blackie adds, "Her eyes. I wonder who she was." "The other scoot went down up that way. If you could see smoke and fire from here, it couldn't be too far." Jessica takes what remains of the jacket and looks through it, finding something in the inside pocket. She shares her find. "Look, here's a couple of keys. This must be an address book, or what is left of one." Billy takes back the jacket and feels through the pockets. He finds a small package of something. Jessica is trying to read anything from the weathered little black book. Billy holds a small bag up to the sun. It's his stash, man. It's reefer. Blackie laughs. "After that many years, man, that is utterly incredible." The baggie falls apart to the touch. It exposes a half-ounce of moldy brown powder. Billy sniffs it, detecting the odor of marijuana. Blackie smells it as well, commenting, "That is reefer, man. I wonder if you could still catch a buzz." He pulls a rolled joint from his pocket, lights it up. Jesse is peering through Wyatt's little black book. Most of the writing in this book is blotchy, water damaged. Blackie offers them a hit. Both laughs, shake their head no. The 3 begin walking in the direction they think Wyatt must have crashed. Jessica studies the little book. "Look, Lisa. Pig Farm. Sacred Mountain. Here's another one, Mary and Karen. House of Blue Lights. New Orleans. Do you remember them, man?" Billy responds, "I knew Karen. Not much about her. Madame Tinker Toys. She was with me at the Mardi Gras." This must be spare keys to his bike. "Man, his keys." Blackie looks at the keys. One of them fits a Harley, the other is for something else. It might be a mailbox. Too small for an ignition key. Jesse urges him, "Keep them. You'll have something to remember him by." "It bothers me that Pappy thought you were on the Most Wanted TV episode." Blackie adds, "Pappy might have been mistaken. He's getting up there. Drinks a lot since his wife died." Billy notes, "He was confused. I was only in Texas once in my life, and that was over a quarter of a century ago." Blackie comments, "It must be strange for you to be at a place where you were almost killed." Billy responds, "Strange, yes. Not as strange as that eagle. I know there's more to that thing. It's been in my dreams, Jesse corrects him. Dreams? You mean nightmares? Billy grows quiet, feeling better for the leather jacket. They continue to walk, moving along the right side of the roadway on the grass, overturning anything that may lay there. He thinks aloud. I wonder what that little key is for? Jesse replies, who knows? We'll never know. I feel badly for your friend. Wyatt must have been a cool dude. Let me take the jacket back to the truck. Blackie parts from the two, walking higher up on the roadside. Jessica takes the jacket and runs back to the truck. She feels emotional, gets tearful thinking about how cruel some people truly are. She reaches the truck, opens the passenger door, finds a large plastic bag and carefully packs the leather jacket into it. While there, she pulls some of the photos and papers from her backpack, looking for anything in the background for a reference. Billy and Blackie can be seen some distance away. Behind her, scanning the ground, Blackie can be heard shouting in the distance. You, Jessica, bring the shovel from the truck. I need the shovel. Billy shouts. Jesse, bring the spade. He's found something. Jessica responds and pulls the shovel from the bed of the relic Ford, running to them with it in hand. Blackie is digging with his hands. There is something over here. It looks like Blackie has found something buried deep in the dirt well up on the green. He is pulling weeds out by their roots, finding the tread of a tire. A bike tire. Man, this looks like a 21-inch Aeon. I need the shovel, man. Billy is reaching his side. Jessica is running up with the shovel, handing it to Blackie, who sets right to work. She is delighted. What if we found it, man? This is exciting. Blackie digs. Most of the wheel is there. It's buried deep. God, it's from a hog, that is for sure. Billy assures them. Wyatt ran a 21-incher, man. Oh man, that is his. Blackie has it almost out. Bryn, spokes still in the wheel. Looks like part of the fork is still attached. Yeah, half of the left leg is there. Billy gets eager for more. Is the rest of the bike there? I don't see the rest of the damn bike, man. Find the gas tank. Blackie works hard pulling the relic chopper's front wheel from the ground. There is remnants of a length of the left strut still attached to the rusted rim. No front brake, man. You said he didn't run the front brake. Billy confirms. That's right, that is his. There is no question in my mind, that is Wyatt's front end. All we got to do is find the rest of it. It's got to be here. Blackie notes. Look how it is broken off at the top. Snapped clean off. Jesse is puzzled too. How could it break like that? Blackie tries to explain. Looks like it went into the ground. He hit the ditch hard, probably going fast, unless he was hit. I was looking at the old police photos. The wheel was separate from the main frame. Jessica recalls the photos that she had in her backpack. She looks to place the motorcycle about 15 feet from the wheel, which had landed close to the fence. Billy adds, we could get the photos, then figure where it might be. Blackie extends more help. I'll get the truck over here. You'll want to take this, right? Billy agrees. That will work, man. You bet you. Jesse points out, this here. Looks like it used to be a headlight. They both join her, passing around the rusted piece of chrome that was once Night A's. Billy carries it back to the front fork section. He tries to recall how it fit. It had 4 tail lights, 2 lefts, 2 right, 1 up and 1 down. Jesse queries, how do you remember stuff like that? Christ, that was 30 years ago, man. Well, look for 4 taillights. Blackie leaves them, running, to return in a few moments with the Ford. Jessica and Billy continue to look for more parts. When Blackie comes back, he pulls the truck off the road. Jessica finds her backpack and pulls some 11 by 14-inch photos from an envelope as Blackie notes. The wheel is up here close to the fence. See, it's still got the lower left leg attached to the hub. Jesse points out, the frame is back here. Looks about 20 feet, about 5 feet from where the headlamp is. See the headlamp? The 3 moves directly to the spot in the photos. The headlamp was in the picture, right where Jessica found it. Blackie agrees. Let's start digging. Looks like right about here. Blackie lances the dirt with a rustic spade. He digs hard and fast, tossing the topsoil 8 to 10 feet from the hole. Billy's anxiety shows. Red, white and blue stars and stripes. Tank frame was groomed. Hot damn, it has got to be here. Blackie keeps digging, looks at his watch and digs for a few minutes. Covers a hole about a foot deep, 10 feet by 10 feet. Then, your bro got us one Harley and Mr. Davidson motorcycle over here, boss man. The whole damn thing was groomed. There are some parts missing. Looks like the tranny is gone. Billy, the tank man. Is the tank there? Blackie, it looks like. No, the tank is missing. No fuel tank. It looks like it was ripped off the frame. The rear and front mounting flanges are still there. Jesse looks over the photos for the tank. It's hard to see in the photos. I can't tell if it was still there or not. Blackie counts out. 1, 2, 3, 4 taillights, bro. Was once a real nice old hardtail. Billy is disheartened. No fucking fuel tank. Someone took it. Damn. Blackie begins to review the damages. There was a bad fire. Wires are melted. The engine is melted. The gas tank probably blew. They work hard and dig the remains of the glorious Captain America special from its grave. There is no transmission attached and only the teardrop tank's mounting flanges remain bolted to the rusted frame. Jesse inquires, you did say you saw smoke and fire? Billy, the tank probably blew, but that wouldn't separate. It is broken at the welds. Look. Blackie adds, this is old style. The battery sat here under the seat, just inside the oil tank. That would burn with smoke. The rear tire caught fire. Look where it's burned away. Billy points to the molten aluminum. The aluminum engine is all melted. No man. Somebody found the tank. They got rich, man. Fuck. Jesse urges them to keep trying. We can keep digging. The bike came apart. The tank might be buried. Blackie pictures the bike. Man, even the two fishtail exhaust stacks are there. Look at the seat. It was once padded almost to the top of the sissy bar. Billy remembers the hog. It was the best anyone ever saw. In 1969, 10 grand for a bike was a lot of money, man. It was hard on him to ride it all day, but it was one mean motor scooter. Blackie notes, 10 thou then are about like 30 grand today. Jesse states, that's about how much money he said was in the tank. Billy is annoyed, something like that. We had our life savings in the tank. I knew it was too good to be true. Even back then, man. Everything went smooth. Then Wyatt had to pick up that damned hitchhiker. Damn, I knew something would go wrong. Jessica adds, but we did find the bike. At least we did find it. That in itself is a near miracle. Let's keep digging. It won't be dark for a while yet. Blackie agrees. Sure, man. Let's try. We got this far. Blackie continues to dig in the immediate area. Jessica and Billy clear the dirt away from Wyatt's burned hog. Billy and Jessica load some of the parts into the bed of the pickup. Billy thinks out loud. The tank has got to be here. Red, white and blue, man. We have got to find it. Jesse comments, if it's still here we will. I know we will. Even if we don't, you'll be okay, man. The very thought of not finding the money makes Billy cringe. Okay, what the fuck am I going to do for bread, man? No thank you, I need that bread. Just then Blackie shouts, I think I found something here. Jessica and Billy join Blackie to see what he has uncovered. Jesse, what is it? Did you find the gas tank? Blackie is unearthing something. I'm not sure yet. There's something here. It's metal. He pries the clump from the ground. Dirt is impacted around it. He is shouting. It is painted with stars and stripes. Billy yells, that is a teardrop tank or what is left of one, as Billy anxiously seeks his treasure. Can you get the cap off of it? Blackie can't begin to free up the cap. It's rusted. The bottom is blown out, split at the seams. The whole damn thing is full of dirt. Billy takes it away from Blackie and works at trying to loosen the rusted, stubborn fuel cap. He gets frustrated when it doesn't come loose. God damn it. He throws it again and again on the ground, kicking at it. Jesse looks at the sky. It's going to be getting dark soon. We can take it apart later. Let's load up and head back. We found everything, man. At least we have it. Billy mellows out somewhat. The money might still be in there. Jessica takes the tank to the inside of the truck after brushing as much dirt as she can from the dented and mangled teardrop. Billy is eager to see what is inside. Well, cut it open, man. I'll feel a hell of a lot better when I'm counting the money. Blackie backs the old truck closer to the frame, drops the tailgate and the three of them work to lift the heavy derelict into the bed. It's getting late. We have got to hit it. At least we found it, man. Blackie urges, while he polices the area. All enter the truck, started and they ramble from the area. The remains of the relic chopper bounces and settles in the bed of the old pickup with a crash and bang. Sometime later, the sun is starting to set as they near Jake's place. Dogs start barking. Jake and Bandana are aroused to the sound of the Ford coming up the drive as Bandana comments, "I almost thought they were going to make a night of it." Jake takes notice. "Looks like they found something. The bed has something in it." As the truck stops 20 feet short of the office, Jake greets them and opens the passenger door. Then all look into the bed at the buried and reclaimed treasure. Jake laughs. "Looks like you found something out there. Is that your friend's old scoot?" Billy grins a bit. "Yes sir, you bet you it is," Jessica exclaims. "It's unbelievable. It was there all the time." Bandana takes note. "Look at those exhaust stacks. Twin fish tails. The rake angle is radical. Looks like the fuel line came loose. The gas spilled all over the place. It exploded." Blackie points out, "Someone took the tranny at some point in time, left the rest there. It was buried pretty deep." Bandana's trained eyes review the relic. "Not much left of the engine. It burned hot. Look there, it was all chrome. Nice old bike at one time. 15-inch tubes, H&H style riser bars on 4-inch dog banes." Blackie adds, "Yeah, it looks like it sat really high in front even with that 1-inch rake. Damn thing exploded." Billy agrees. "That is what happened, man. It exploded and blew the tank clean away." Bandana looks closer. "Looks that way. There's some damage from a shotgun blast. See all the pellet dents here. Buckshot." Blackie turns to Jake. "Do you have a water hose nearby? I'd like to wash the dirt off this chopper." Jake moves to turn on the water, handing a hose to Blackie, who opens the nozzle and sets to work washing off the relic. Bandana notes to Billy, "His headlamp was mounted like yours. The same people built both these scoots." He responds, "Yeah, in California, man. Anaheim." Bandana continues, "Look how the left tube broke. He slammed the ground hard. The front trim is bent bad like he hit something, a rock." Or Billy interjects, "I think it broke when the wheel got sideways. It killed him, man. Goddamn, what spike." Bandana feels bad. "It took a shotgun blast in the left side. Probably blew him right off of it. Even the oil tank caught fire." "Real sorry, man." Billy spots the California tag. "Look, the license plate is still there." Jesse tells them of the eagle. "You should have seen the white eagle we saw out there. I never saw a more magnificent bird. Swear to God. It brought us to Wyatt's jacket. It knew why we there." She moves to the truck cab and pulls the large plastic bag from it, removing the contents. "Billy has a friend in very lofty places," showing them the old leather jacket. "The eagle pulled this right out of the ground while we stood and watched." Jake takes notice. "I'll be damned. I'll bet that is the same bird that flew over right before you come here. Real big white eagle. Wings must be 12 feet across." Blackie shouts out, "It was there for a reason. I never saw anything like that before. Dug it right out of the dirt." Jake points toward the shed. "Back behind the shed there are some shipping crates stacked up. Use the forklift and load those things into the crates." Bandana and Blackie set to the chore of loading the 2 hogs into the crates. Jake takes a good look at the Captain America special still inside the truck, now standing upright. "That was some bike. It's amazing that there is that much left after all that time. I would have brought it in if it were me." Pappy didn't figure it was worth the trip. Billy finds the water hose and blasts the dirt from Wyatt's teardrop tank. He flushes the inside through the slits in the seam, running all the dirt out of it, shaking it. "There. That is what I want to hear." He grins as there is evidence of something that remains inside the fuel tank. It bangs around within, bringing joy to the tortured and destitute biker. Jesse hears the rattle. "You got it, man. You deserve it." She draws close to him, hugging Billy with affection as he lashes the tank to Bandana's bike. Jake comments, "I was at a Harley dealership a couple of months back. They were throwing away those shipping crates, so I grabbed them." Jessica informs Billy they are going to ship both bikes to Bandana's shop in Daytona Beach. Feeling content, knowing the money is still in the tank, he responds, "Pretty much scrap." Hammering can be heard in the background. Blackie moves the pickup to unload Wyatt's chopper. In a few moments Bandana joins them. "Billy, this is my business card. Home phone is the same. I'll check the bikes out. Yours isn't so bad. I was looking at it when you were gone. 1 to 948 G-band." Jessica looks at the business card with Bandana's photograph printed on it. "I will give you my address and number too. I know he wants to trust you, man." This amuses Bandana as he laughs. "Both of you can." The two share a touch of affection. Blackie takes a drink of water from the hose, then washes his head under it as Jake offers a parting word. Good luck with that hog. Make sure I get to see it when it's running again. They pack up the Harleys. Jessica sits on the leather jacket. The lash tank makes it awkward to ride. The bikes fire off. Lights all illuminate and they amble down the dark drive, waving goodbye to Jake, who watches them leave. He sees their brake lights when they stop for a Peterbilt tractor trailer on the main road. It is covered with trick illumination that blinks neon design, with a blast of its air horns. The treasure hunters set out for dinner, the Blue Springs Motel, and call it today. South Beach, Miami. Later that same night in Miami, at a prominent South Beach nightclub's curbside bar, federal officers based in Herc and Jackson are seated at a local hotspot, scoping out the babes, eating, drinking and chatting. There is techno music coming from within the establishment, which is heard through external speakers on the sidewalk bar. There are many motorcycles cruising. Low-rider cars with jumper hydraulics stance their way down the road as they pass on the busy, colorful street. Jackson is speaking to his fellow feds. That biker, what's his name? It responds. You mean Billy? Billy the Kid? Jackson scoffs. Yeah, isn't it slick? Billy the grey-beard kid. What exactly is on the warrant? Didn't know. The warrant has been approved, as Frank Basting assures them. 1DEA, warrant for trafficking, 2 federal for accessory to murder of 2 federal agents and first-degree murder for George Hansen, in Texas. The FBI, most wanted, did a bit on him. Jackson notes, I was looking over the old police reports. It listed them as both being intoxicated at the time they crashed. It says nothing about any shotgun shooting. Basting fills him in. He took a shotgun blast from close range in the upper left chest area. Cats. Hardline News had a few phone calls from people who remember him. One was up in New Orleans. The others were out west somewhere, Arizona or Nevada. Jackson states, bikers sell drugs. Hippies do drugs. We got job security if nothing else. We are in a drug war. I love it. Basting reports, the RICO Act. All the outlaw biker gangs are going down one by one, coast to coast. Jackson comments, that pretty girl, Jessica Severson. What does she see in that old man? He laughs as Tom Cats. Pretty, hell yes, she could be a model, or an actress. That's how some women are. I think they get drawn to the excitement of troublemakers, outlaws. Jackson is distracted. What I wouldn't give for a very young and shapely, underclad waitress is only a few inches from Jackson. Her thong bathing suit leaves her great buns fully exposed. Jackson turns to admire her, making a funny motion to tickle her with his tongue. It jokes, basting. If your rear looked like that, Jackson, there would kiss it more often, wouldn't you? Be? Frank laughs loudly. It does. It looks just like that. They all break up in laughter. The waitress turns to them. Are you having fun yet, gentlemen? Can I get you another drink? Jackson laughs. This round is on me. Frank, if your rear looks just like that, let's check it out. Basting chuckles. It would only get you aroused, Jackson. A late model lowrider pickup slinks by, trick paint and lighting blink to the tones in the third box cruiser, as music thumps and thuds in very deep bass tones. In the bed there are a number of pretty teenage girls. The driver has a razor-shaved head. It stops in the backed-up line of traffic that is ever present at the location. Tom Herrick comments, where do they get the money to build that stuff? Jackson, drugs. Hell, I didn't even get my first car until I was in the army. Basting agrees. Drugs. They get it selling drugs. Jackson adds, or daddy does. Basting continued, that too. We busted a cocaine tycoon out west last year. His kid was driving a Ferrari test cross to high school. I'll bet he had a good love life. Abby adds, it might be good when you have all the flash, but what happens to the kid when it's soul taken away? What does he tell his friends? That it got repossessed. Basting notes. They hate us, even the good kids think we are assholes. Then Herrick states, then they are the assholes, like opinions. Everyone has got one. The waitress returns with their drinks. Jackson pays joyfully, as her extremely sexy body teases their eyes. He offers a generous tip. Turn around for me, girl. Let's get a good look at you. The waitress entertains them, spinning around gleefully, then scoops up his tip. She lifts up her top, flashing them her beautiful, young, large breasts. The three are related and the treat as her. It exclaims, those are implants. Those could not be real. Jackson turns toward Frank Basting. So yours is as fine as hers? Who responds, drop it Jackson, you know. You really are a pervert, don't you? They all laugh at the notion and enjoy their drinks. They take notice as a car with a loud stereo is slowly passing them with people estranged by the Doors playing. Herrick responds, did you guys see the movie The Doors? Frank answers, yeah, I saw that a long time ago. Val Kilmer looked just like what's his name, as Jackson laughs. Drug keys, they were nothing but drug heads. They could use that as a DEA training film. It looks to Jackson. Didn't you ever smoke pot, Jackson? He answers, I'll bet you did. No, I was always into sports. I have never smoked even a cigarette. My mama never raised no fool. It notes, even the president smoked pot. Jackson. Abby continues, he didn't inhale. Tom, you did inhale, then held your breath too long. Tom adds, in that movie Jim Morrison was busted right here in Dade County. Frank Basting comments, for lewd behavior on stage. It was simulated masturbation. I remember back in the 60s when radio stations would not play their music after he was busted. Jackson laughs. For simulated saturation, Herrick informs them. He got 8 months hard labor and 2 years, 4 months probation. Hell, his appellant bond was 50 grand. It all ended just after that. He drank non-stop until he died in Paris. The clash of his life to what they had done to him blew his mind. Dade County killed him, indirectly. Basting added, he fled the country while on bond. That would have added 5 years to his sentence. He would be better off dead. It continues, cruel and unusual punishment. His father was Vice Admiral Morrison in the Navy. He hid it all. Abby seems amused. All for simulated saturation. When are the 3 warrants going to be served on Billy? Frank Basting answers, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement will serve him. They are FBI warrants. Jackson, the FDLE. I heard that. They take him down. We pick him up. The workload is off us. All right. Tom adds, the guy has a fan club. He's had a lot of news coverage with the Hardline News. Basting notes, now with the FBI's Most Wanted. They will think differently of him after they learn of what he did in Texas. Jackson changes the subject. Did you hear the statistics on handgun homicides in the USA right now is greater than the kill rate in all of Vietnam? Tom Herrick looks surprised. No. People die at a greater rate in America in peacetime, in a given period, than we did in war? It can't be. Jackson assures them, in 1996 there were 34,000 homicides and suicides with guns alone. They say there is 190 million handguns in the hands of American citizens. Right now, almost 59,000 men were killed in all the years in Vietnam. Frank notes, citizens are killed mostly over nothing. Someone's vain ego gets hurt, they get even, or they need drug money. Jackson relates, ego, vainglory, too much self-esteem and a false sense of pride. I see that as a flaw in our education system. Herrick exclaims, it puts new meaning on the word rod in spare the rod and spoil the child, doesn't it? A few feet from the trio, a customized, candy apple red, 1959 Cadillac convertible with 6 very young and beautiful girls captures their attention. It is being apprehended by a motorcycle cop. With a blip of his siren and blue lights, the car comes to a stop. It is equipped with a third box sound system which is playing loud techno rave music. The officer approaches the cruisers. You ladies have been driving by here for the last hour. I have seen you cruise 8 times. The beautiful, young driver explains, we are going to a party later. I don't think we made that many passes, maybe 3. The officer is not amused and means business. Could I see your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance? A police unit stops directly behind them, which causes other traffic to back up and go around the already congested road. A girl in the back seat teases the approaching officer by putting her legs up on the front seat, allowing the breeze to blow up her light skirt, exposing her slender legs and sexy torso. She reaches inside and appears to be straightening her scanty black undies as Jackson shouts, "That's, hey officer, that is simulated saturation." Isn't that a crime in Dade County? The cop looks at Jackson, then at the girl, and is amused. The motorcycle cop returns to his bike and is preparing traffic citations. The driver of the caddy says something to the second cop, who is looking the convertible over. The cruising law is illegal. When we buy gas and license plates, we pay a road use tax. We now have the right to use the road, for business or pleasure. Then you tell us we use it too often. Taxation without representation. This excites all the girls in the car, who begin to repeat and chant, taxation without representation. Taxation without representation. You have taken our taxes, now what about our access? Taxation without representation. The motorcycle cop returns with his prepared uniform traffic citations, advising the driver where to sign, returning her license and proof as she responds, "This is wrong. We paid our road use tax. Let us use our road." It's taxation without representation. The traffic cop is not responding. One ticket for cruising, another for noise ordinance. Turn that stereo down. If you pass by here again tonight, you will need representation to get out of jail and the right to an attorney. Have good night, ladies. The officers stand close to the curb observing while the girls start their car, engage the gearbox, using the turn indicator, re-enter traffic. Jackson shouts, "Officers, they were not wearing their seat belts." The cops laugh and shake their heads to the negative as Tom Herrick laughs. "Abby, you are a troublemaker. This round is on me." The three federal agents make a night of it and enjoy the warm and wild South Beach community, Liberty, Florida. The next day brings Jessica and Billy to the Liberty, Florida community graveyard. It's nearing noontime. From the files, Jessica had uncovered the graveyard where Wyatt had been buried. The street rod can be seen entering the gates of the modest graveyard. They drive to the chapel where Jessica leaves the car to look at the directory listing, then returns to Billy's side and drives slowly into the yard. She informs him the directory has it listed as unmarked, somewhere over this way in the Township of Liberty section. He is annoyed. Unmarked? They didn't even bother to run his license or registration to get his name. The car comes to a stop in a remote section in the older graveyard. Jessica and Billy exit and with a floral offering walk about the grounds looking for what may be Wyatt's headstone. Jessica spots a small stone. John Doe 1969? Oh no. This must be his. This is really very sad. They humble themselves before Wyatt's grave in respect of his memory. Jessica places the floral offering in a fixture near his grave marker. Billy comments he deserves better than this man. His name was not John Doe. Jessica agrees. "I'm truly very sorry, man. People can really be very cruel. You would have been here right next to him had you died." The thought makes him cringe as they mournfully walk back to the car in quiet respect for Wyatt. They will return to the Blue Springs Motel, where they spend the remainder of the day and one more night. In the hot rod, Jessica is quiet for a time, glances at Billy. "You don't look so good. All of this is having an effect on you. It's been hard on you." He answers, "I didn't sleep well last night. Florida heat. It's like hell." She notes, "You can use the money to move anywhere in the world. Man, most people can only dream of that. Hell, most are so caught up in credit plans they can't even think about what you can do. Think of it, man." Billy's anxiety prevails. "Loose slips sinks ships. Tell nobody about the money. Promise me that." Jesse agrees with his notion. "You're right, man. The government has been seizing any money taken in drug deals. I have no idea where it goes after that. Florida might claim it to cover your hospital expenses." Billy changes the subject. "What is a bait?" Bandana said something about the River of Steel. "A bait run? I never heard of that before." Jessica knows. "A civil liberty thing. The Helmet Law Abatement Committee. Every year they organize a statewide rally to Tallahassee to protest mandatory helmet laws." Billy remembers. "Back then there was no helmet law. It was our own choice." Jesse recalls a slogan, "Let those who ride decide." Way cool. A river of steel. Bikers are on a highway, floating like in a rushing river of machines, of steel. Billy understands. Some get caught up in the rapids and get pulled under by the current. She comments, "1%er gets evil. All the drugs and alcohol. Hollywood movies always make bikers look criminally insane or something. Maybe they imitate what they see on the silver screen. Life imitates art." He laughs. 1%er? The ones you can't bring home to meet mom? I remember those from the 60s. Outlaws with gang colors. They were seriously involved in organized crime. She looks at at him. Are you a 1%er man? He laughs. No, I'm a 7.9%er, the one you can take to the bank. Jesse laughs. Man, you might be one half of 1%. The two get on with their day as the hot rod speeds across the asphalt, shooting the rapids of the River of Steel. The next afternoon, Jesse and Billy left the motel behind and made good time. The sleek roadster is pulling to a stop in the driveway of the Severson home and are greeted by Jessica's mum. Welcome home. Billy had 2 phone calls. Karen from New Orleans and Luke called from Arizona. They knew you from way back when. Jesse remembers. There was a Karen listed in the book we found. That's real good news. Everything's starting to pull together, man. Mom, you would not believe what we saw up there. She and her mother talk over things about the trip. Billy goes inside the home to rest in his room. Jessica unloads their belongings, bringing Wyatt's teardrop tank to a bench inside the carport. The 13-year-old neighbor boy appears. His razor-cut hair lends to a punky appearance of the skinny kid. Hi Jessica, do you need any help? She answers. Hi kid, I'm about done unloading. How are you doing? He is curious about her baggage. Okay I guess. Say, isn't that a Harley tank? What happened to it? Jesse assures him. It was. There was a crash a long time ago. Somebody was killed and that was part of his bike. He likes it. The cool. Can I have that? Jessica? She shakes her head. No, I don't think so. It belongs to the man that's been staying here. He informs her. My dad does not like him. He's not your boyfriend, is he, Jesse? He is too old for you. She listens. He is a man who has been through more than any man should have to go through and live to talk about it. He frowns. Dad calls him a creep. She listens. Not all people are the same. We aren't supposed to be. Billy is just different than your dad. The boy inquires. Was he in the war? She responds. He survived the Civil War of the 60s. Your dad shouldn't talk about people he does not know anything about. You can tell him I said that. The kid grins. Was he an outlaw? You know a Hell's Angel? She looks away. What? I don't know if he was affiliated. He probably knew some. He was from California. The kid continues. Way cool. He was a bad dude. If the outlaws in Florida find out he was a Hell's Angel, they will kill him. Jesse doesn't like the thought. You will learn just how bad he is if he catches you messing with that gas tank. He makes a face. Is it that special? She answers. It's like life and death to him. He concludes. Cool. I'll see you later, Jesse. The FBI's Most Wanted is on tonight. What's that? I think he is a Hell's Angel. She shakes her head. Adios. I'm going to take a cold shower. Maybe I'll see the Most Wanted program. I've never seen it before. Heard about it though. Jessica closes up the rod, then makes her way into the house. Her mother informs her. Billy hasn't stirred a muscle. He must be exhausted. Those 2 phone numbers are on the pad by the phone. Jesse glances at them. He'll check it out later. I'm tired. So much stress. The television is on. Mrs. Severson tunes in the weekly broadcast of the FBI's Most Wanted news magazine. It can be heard as Jessica goes to the kitchen getting a glass of iced tea and something to munch on, complaining. People suck. Mom, I am disgusted with what I see in people. Mom offers some friendly advice. Let the bastards get you down. Honey, you are a lot like your dad that way. Bless his heart. He valued the truth, like you do. She re-enters the room. Lies are thieves. Always something to hide. Reality is the simple truth. Anything else is short of reality. Mom, the truth hurts too much for some people to look at it, so they pretend it doesn't exist. She laughs. La la land. Yeah, but it seems like most of the population are pretending. Her mom continues. Don't be bitter, Jesse. You'll develop ulcers. Those who vote in our fine country are those who value the blessed truth, according to your father. Anyway, Jessica is seated in a charity. The truth isn't always blessed. Isn't very pretty. Her mom comforts her. Well, it is when it comes down to looking at you, my beautiful daughter. Jesse just makes a funny face. Me beautiful? Give me a break. What's for dinner tonight, Mom? I'm starved. Her mom smiles. Chicken. They laugh together as her mom notices. Look on TV. There is something about someone in South Florida. Jessica glances at the screen. All those kinds of shows end up with someone in Florida. Mom is in agreement. Yes, I have noticed that. Look, it's right here in Broward County too. The TV becomes the main focus. Jessica and her mother settle into watching the news magazine reenactment scenario. In a secluded Woodide area. 3 bikers camped out just west of Paris, Texas. There is a campfire. 2 Japanese brand motorcycles are in the background that they were to be riding. A wisecracking, arrogant character of Wyatt, an overweight hippie, portrays Billy, with George Hansen dressed in finer college varsity clothing. The 3 are acting as if they were overindulgent on drugs. Wyatt and Billy are seen nodding to one another, faking being drunk while they more or less force George Hansen to continue to get very stoned. They show how the 2 bikers probably wanted George to engage in homosexual activity. When he resisted, they took a tire iron and motorcycle chain to him, beating him to death. When they were certain George was dead, they robbed him of his cash, then buried him in a shallow grave. The 2 are seen as very vicious, psychotic heathens who speed away on their motorcycles. The broadcast continues with the announcer. There was evidence of marijuana all about the area. 4 days later, the victim's parents had received an envelope with Mr. Hansen's empty wallet, which had been mailed from New Orleans, Louisiana. Mr. George Hansen was said to be a trusting, easygoing young man, who would never drink and was never known to smoke marijuana, as he was a respectable American Civil Liberties Union attorney. The ACLU has extended a $10,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the suspects involved in this brutal murder. The Federal Bureau of Investigation believes that at least one of these men is now residing in the Fort Lauderdale area. Here is a computer rendering of how these men might look today. There is shown a computer image of Wyatt with age enhancement characteristics, then another image of Billy with age enhancement, showing a lot of gray hair. They are pictured separately, then shift to a double picture showing both men as the storyline continues. Now take a good look at these 2 suspects, and if you can provide any information, please call the number now on your screen. Remember, these men are to be considered very dangerous. Don't try to do anything on your own. Please call the FBI's Most Wanted, and a Texas operator will take your information. You may remain anonymous, but please call. Jessie and her mother are shocked at what they have just seen. Meanwhile, the family next door is also watching the broadcast with open eyes. Mrs. Severson takes note. I don't know about the thinner man, but that image certainly resembles your friend. Jessica remembers what Pappy said a couple of days earlier and is thinking, it does look something like him, but it's just a computer image. Mom, if it were him, they would have arrested him when they were here a few days ago. Her mom responds with, do you think? They shrug it off and prepare dinner. However, at the same time, in the next door neighbor's house, the kid has summoned his dad, Mike, and his mother to the television. They are seated in their living room watching the news magazine. Mike observes, that certainly does resemble what's his name, staying at the Severson home. The kid shouts, he was a Hell's Angel. His mom responds with, now Mike, I doubt very seriously that Jessica would ever involve herself with a killer. Mike doesn't agree. Not knowingly, but he does not act normal. His wife, yes, he is weird. You don't suppose he is the killer? Mike moves to the don't. Let's see. 765 TIPS, hello in. At the same time of the broadcast, the phones are ringing in the offices of the FBI's Most Wanted switchboard. Night has closed in. City lights can be seen through the windows of the busy office. The desks are manned with personnel answering and recording any messages which may produce any leads for the law enforcement officers to follow up on. At one desk, a young woman, dressed casually, is speaking to someone in reference to the incident in Texas. FBI's Most Wanted hotline. How can I help you? Yes, the bikers who were to have killed the ACLU attorney in Texas. On what? This is the same man you saw on Hardline News? I see. In Billy's story, you used to work as a hospital attendant? Yes, somewhere in the Pembroke Pines area, maybe Miramar. That is interesting. We will follow up on that. Yes, that is very helpful. Thank you for calling. The staff member eagerly shares the information with management, and they find a number of people have called, insisting that the same person in Billy's story on Hardline News is also the man which was on the FBI's Most Wanted. At the same time, in the offices of Hardline News magazine in another state, The telephones are ringing off the hook in the very busy offices of the syndicated network program. The large room is filled with divided desks, each with personnel, computers and telephones. A young man, dressed in business attire with a loose tie, is at his desk reaching for the ringing telephone. Hardline news. What can I help you with? I see, on the FBI's Most Wanted program? You think this is the man who was on Billy's story? He committed a murder in Texas? No sir. We haven't seen the report. Yes. We will follow up on that. It is very interesting. Where? I see in the FT Lauderdale area. And you are where? West Palm Beach? You saw him at a Florida Turnpike stop? I see. You and your girlfriend saw him in a what? In an old Ford? A hot rod? He flirted with your girlfriend? On a motorcycle? Yes. We will contact the Broward County authorities. A reward? A $10,000 reward? No sir, that may be through the FBI series. No, I don't have their number. I see. Thank you for calling. The reporter finds the allegation interesting. He organizes his notes and reports to his departmental manager. It seems Hardline News is getting many calls reporting the man in Billy's story is the same man on the Most Wanted series. The Severson home is quiet. The evening went quickly. Billy had been sleeping since they returned and Jessie and her mother both were convinced it couldn't be him. They were looking for. Jessie was tired from the trip. Unseen is Billy breaking into a cold sweat, restlessly tossing about in his bed, sliding back into another psychological spasm, fevered. He tries to rest. His bed is in disorder as he fights, inwardly, against the unique misadventure, dreading what sinister, hellish creature will confront him this time. Inside Billy's mind, now in the superheat of an endless desert, near noon when the sun is directly overhead, alone as always, Billy is walking his way across the heart of nowhere. There is no food, no water, only the dry, hot sands under his naked feet. He looks back to where he's been and only sees the endless desert. There is no wind as the sun burns its way into the center of his tormented mind. In his consciousness he has been there in eternity, both yesterday and tomorrow. The bridge of his nose is sunburned and peeling, dried skin. His lips are cracked, chafed. Still he limps along. Only the cacti witness his infernal suffering. Stumbling, he falls to the desert floor in heat exhaustion, but tries again and again to pick himself up, only to fall again in weakness. All but his soul gives way to the dominant hell of the burning sands as he lay there, eyes staring in near blindness across the vast sea of sand, seeing only the intense flicker of heat waves distort the terrain. So many years of comatose seem to callous his spirit, enabling him to withstand dreaded evils from within. He begins to hallucinate as bolts of multicolored lightning strike down in random and violent electrical storms from the heavens above. The bright daytime sky begins to turn dark from the distant horizon with a ghostly cloud rapidly approaching. It rolls across the desert like a wave upon a storm-tossed sea, creating a very chilled and soothing comfort in its wake. Electronic like thunder creates a surreal explosion mixed with the colorful bolts of lightning. A psychedelic storm approaches Billy, who is awe-stricken. As it passes overhead, he covers his head. It carries behind the beautiful starlit night sky. He rolls over and his eyes chase shooting stars which race across the mysterious deep purple infinity. He turns and watches the desert plants close from the chill of darkness, enjoying the soothing cool breeze of the supernatural wind. Strengthening from his near-death experience, he sits up, watching what appears to be an approaching flow of a cold mountain freshwater stream. It races across the sands directly toward, then past him. He rolls into it, scooping up drinks with his fingers. As it provides a cool, refreshing drink, he begins to gain strength and stands. He notes a mysterious phosphorescent glow upon the sands, which creates an illuminated path leading directly to the horizon. As he studies the luminous path, he sees something approaching from the distance. He fixes his eyes upon a sphere of warm blue light, moving toward him at an unnatural pace. Floating a few feet above the desert floor, multicolored lightning bolts radiate within the spherical illumin. He detects a figure of a winged man, whose wings propel him toward Billy. The large silvery white wings beat in slow motion as the angel grows ever nearer. Billy watches to see who this creature can be. The angel comes forth, hovering a few feet above the earth, wings gracefully in motion. He remains in a holding pattern momentarily, then settles to his feet on the ground. Billy instantly recognizes his long-lost acquaintance as George Hansen. They confirm their relationship with eye contact as the angel, George, gracefully folds his wings behind him. When a small white feather falls, spiraling through the air, Billy is stunned as this supernatural experience that is taking place has him captured like no other. Dressed fine white robes, with purple belts gracing his chest, with his eyes aglow with blue light, George motions to Billy to look above him. Billy's eyes lift to behold an illuminous image of what appears to be a man, but not of this dimension. The figure is cloaked in white robes made of light, with crisscrossed fine golden belts across his chest. There are what appear to be glowing stars flickering and flashing all about his torso. Billy looks into the figure's face and sees a blue luminous glow coming from within. His hair and beard are pure white as Billy utters, "Holy God, it is Jesus." The Holy Spirit says nothing, and only gazes upon Billy, who now has determined that it was now his time to pass on, to die. It was as if the mighty spirit knew his thoughts. He lifts his glowing hands as if to form a ball of light in front of him, and Billy begins to experience a soothing, sensual feeling throughout his body. He shuts his eyes and bows his head before the master and begins to weep. Never knowing prayer or how to pray, Billy brings himself to his knees before the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings. He bows his head and closes his eyes as his holy host moves forward and touches Billy on the forehead with the palm of his right hand. In an instant Billy falls to the cool sands of the desert floor, as if he had passed out, then lay still. After a moment of timeless bliss, his whole mind had lit up with soothing crystal light. He opens his eyes to behold, now, only the angel George still there before him. The Holy Spirit of the Lord had vanished. The ragged warrior feels something come over him, a healing. There is clearly a distinctive, unique, floral scent all about the air, as the arc aura of light glows around them. He senses a soothing cool air about him and denotes the desert plants within the illumin grow to an unnatural size and blossom larger than life. Exotic flowers. Surreal charges of lightning radiate from the arc, striking Billy. He receives knowledge, listening intently, as answers to future challenges are placed within his consciousness. Communication continues in actions, not in words, as his leg loses its limp and he forgets the terrible, deepest, emotional pains of when he was hit by the shotgun blast, as scars upon his memory vanish without a trace. Mystified, however understanding every notion, he dances on his, once, bad leg. George casually raises his left hand and snaps his fingers once. Behold, the figure of Wyatt is standing with them, appearing cool, bold and proud, just as he always had. Wyatt smiles to Billy, who can only ponder what is taking place. George snaps his fingers twice. Behold, the figure of Wyatt begins to glow, brighter and brighter. There is the trace of silver wings lifting up from within him. They spread wide and lift upward. Emerging is the fine white eagle, which departs Wyatt's form in a very slow motion, ascending high above the desert floor, then settles gracefully upon the ground near them, casting a mysterious glow. Its great head is cocked and its magnificent eyes appearing at Billy. Wyatt stands alone watching over Billy, who is comforted by their visitation. Wyatt's voice speaks out. If God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him. It echoes repeatedly as Billy remembers. His mind fills with vivid memories of the New Orleans LSD trip with Karen and Mary, as Wyatt appears before him. The song, "When the Saints Go Marching In," plays in a mysterious echo, remixed somehow, and all the experiences that took place in 1969 with Wyatt flashed very vividly within him in an instant. Then there is the sound and ground shake of distant thunder. The huge eagle appears aware of a distant threat as it peers into the direction of the rolling clouds and lets out a scream. This alerts the cosmic cowboy warriors, who look curiously toward the disturbance. 6 metallic and faceless forms are marching in an arrowhead formation, mechanical-like beings in perfect step, menacing the peace about them. One of George's fine silver wings gives a twitch and flutter. He raises his right hand, snaps his fingers once. Behold, the eagle lifts and then returns mystically and magically into the image of Wyatt, as if it was his soul. Twice. Behold, Wyatt's form breaks up in a flash of broken static and vanishes without a trace, as if in a hologram. Then his fine, white wings open as the angel begins to ascend, lifting gracefully, slowly and surely above the desert floor. It continues to ascend as the wings propel him, producing slight wind, A crystal illumination encircles the angel's form as if a shield to protect him. It occurs to Billy that he is being abandoned and begins to try to speak. "Do not leave me, Wyatt. Take me with you, man. George, do not leave me." The words are but broken bits of sound as they are said. The angel George continues to move on, lifting far above the incoming metallic warriors. The chilling, mysterious dark sky is vanishing with the fine angel as he makes his exit. Once again, the intense heat of the midday sun begins to burn down upon Billy. The henchmen draw nearer, with each heartbeat in his pounding chest, marching in step like Nazi stormtroopers. It becomes clear to him that they are content to do harm, and there was no chance that he might escape them. He stands bold as they come down hard on Billy, striking him, knocking him to the ground and cutting a deep gash upon his brow just above his right eye. He falls hard from the heavy blow of excessive force. As he falls, he lets out a painful scream. In the next room, Jessica is awakened from her sleep by his intense scream. She races from her bed to his bedside, naked under a translucent blue and flowing nightgown. Her tender body is somewhat exposed as she reaches out to comfort Billy. His bed is soaked with sweat, bedding is everywhere. As he lay twitching, sitting on the edge of his bed, she slaps his face to awaken him. "Billy, wake up, man. Snap out of it. Do you hear me?" His eyes open as he lay there, breathing hard and heavy. He begins to focus on the beautiful Jessica as she is so tenderly exposed. So concerned she was for his condition, she was unaware that her soft body could be seen. She grew embarrassed when she realized that he could see her every curve. Then she reached down and across to cover herself. "Oh, shame on you, Billy." He smiled and moved his hand over her flesh, touching her breasts softly. "We have got to get out of here. They are going to." Jessica interrupts him. "No, man, you just had another visitation. Get up now. You have been asleep 13 hours. He insists. "We have got to." "What is the eagle?" "I saw." She interrupts again. "I know. You will be all right. It's over now." Billy sits up. "No, I mean it. What is that white eagle we saw?" "It's his spirit. His soul." Jesse urges. "You get into the shower. I will make some breakfast. Then we can open up that tank." He shakes his head to the negative. "We have got to leave. They are coming to get me." When he gets up, Jessica notices he does not limp. "Your leg, you don't. They fixed it, man. It was Jesus." "That is what I am trying to tell you. We have got to get out of here now." Billy moves his leg about as freely as if he were a dancer. "Look, see what Jesus did? I am not imagining anything. We have got to leave here. Something is definitely going down, man." She races her fingers over his smoothed, once scarred chest. "That is a miracle, man. Stuff like that is impossible." Billy insisted. "It happened. There are 6 of them. They will be here. The money in the tank." "What's tank?" "Jessica, I don't believe this." "Listen, you should call the man Luke. He called when we were north. His number is next to the phone." Billy agrees. "Maybe he can hide me out." "Whoever it is," Jessica answers, "Hess in Arizona. Until this is over, you call. I need a shower, man." After showing Billy Luke's phone number, she moves to the shower. Turning on the water, she looks in the vanity mirror, studies herself and brushes her teeth. She turns briefly to hang the transparent gown on a hook, then prepares a towel. Her naked and very youthful body appears tender as she slips into the running water. She takes up a bar of soap and begins to lather herself. Billy takes up the telephone and dials long distance. Luke's phone rings. Once, twice, a third time. He drops the receiver when he hears something outside. He is shouting, "Where is your mum, Jessie? Is she outside?" Jessie can hear yelling, but it's distant. "What? I can't hear you, man." The receiver is down. A voice is coming from Luke's end. A voicemail message recorder. He gets up and while moving toward Jessica, the front door is knocked from its frame by a ram. As 6FDLE officers charge the home, a lead officer is yelling, "Florida Department of Law Enforcement. We have a warrant." The officers charge into the living room where Billy is standing. "No, man. What is this?" "No. I knew this was going to happen. It's all right, men. You don't need to." The FDLE extended directive. On the floor now, asshole." "I said on the floor. Put your hands behind your back. Do it now, scumbag." Guns were in his face from 6 directions and Billy stands reeling in the moment, startled beyond belief, shocked and horrified, then freezes. The officer yells, "I said hit the floor. Are you deaf?" Face down on the floor. Now. Hit it now. The weapons draw in closer on him, then the 6 officers tackle him. Take him down and hard. As they hit him, a deep gash is cut into his flesh just above his right eye, as in his vision. He is bleeding as excessive force is used to take him down. From the shower, Jessica hears some activity. She shouts, "Billy, what happened? Man, did you fall?" The officers hear her shouting as one yells, "She might have a gun." An officer cocks his sidearm and rushes in the direction of Jessica's voice. She is slipping from the shower just as the officer enters, searching for the robe. Naked and wet, she reaches for a towel. The officer commands her, "Freeze, bitch. Do not move or I will drop you right here." Jessica is absolutely terrified. The officer's gun is just inches from her forehead. The cop's eyes are examining her naked flesh. Her hands tremble as she moves carefully, reaching for her towel. In spite of his directive, "Does it turn you on, asshole?" The officer is joined by a second, who has his weapon drawn as well. Jessica dries herself off and wraps the towel around her. The 2 officers are disarming their weapons, as they are slowly withdrawn. "Sorry ma'am, we are just doing our job." Jessica moves to slap at the officer but restrains herself in disgust, rushing to Billy's side as he lay bleeding, in cuffs and leg irons, on his belly. "You get out of my house, god damn you," an officer states. "We have a warrant. This man is wanted on first-degree murder charges. Unless you cooperate, we will arrest you for obstruction of justice." Jessica moves close to Billy, looking at the deep cut over his right eye. "Are you trying to kill him? He is bleeding here. He could bleed to death." The 6 cops pick Billy up, physically lifting him from the floor by the cuffs and chains. They drag him outside to the front yard before dropping him firmly on the lawn. Many neighbors are out in the street looking on to see what has taken place. Jessica runs outside, still wrapped in just a towel. "He has got to go to a hospital." The supervisor looks at her, ignoring her statement. "Did you hear me? I said he has got to go to a hospital. He is bleeding." She moves to strike at the officer with their fists. He prevents her from connecting. Some of the neighbors note that Jessica is wearing only a towel. Some boys whistle at her. She ignores them, forgetting she was nearly naked. The officer advises her, "I suggest you settle down. We will see that he is treated." Very intense with anger, she is holding back tears. "The man did not kill anyone. You people have no idea what you are doing. You bastards." That didn't impress him much. "That will be for the court to decide. If you will excuse me." The supervisor moves to offer a directive to have Billy placed inside the rear of the police unit. He instructs them to take him out of the leg irons but cuff him before he is placed in the rear of the police unit, as he is offering no resistance, but bleeding. Jessica queries, "Who called?" "I want to know who informed you people." The officer informs her, "That is confidential. But I can tell you that we had more than 20 informative, local, complaints." Another officer overheard the conversation, adding, "Over half of the United States called." The local news reporters are beginning to muster on the situation, lending to the crowd already gathered in front of her home. Jessica avoids any and all contact with them, as she re-enters her home, reviewing the broken door and the damage and blood. The TV is on. Her mother is there trying to clean up the mess. Jessica hugs her and comforts her. Both are sobbing. She grabs clothing that is in the room and dresses herself quickly. "Those bastards. They will not get away with this." There is a news bulletin on a breaking story. The news anchor is speaking. "We interrupt the regularly scheduled broadcast for a breaking story in Broward County where news reporter Kristen Wade is live." "Are you there, Kristen?" "Yes, Rick." The FDLE only a few minutes ago apprehended a fugitive featured last night on the FBI's Most Wanted. He was arrested, without resistance, at a home in Miramar. I can tell you he was wanted for murder of a ACLU attorney a number of years ago and for drug trafficking, which also cost 2 DEA agents their lives. The anchorman adds, "We understand there was a $10,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest of this individual. Do you have any idea who turned him in? Is that person there, Kristen?" She responds, "No, I don't have them here. I have been informed that the FDLE did receive a large number of tips after last night's broadcast." The anchorman again adds, We have just been informed that the subject just arrested was the same person who was featured some time ago on Hardline News. This individual had resided in Florida state institutions for over 29 years. Once again, a Just One Station exclusive, a federal fugitive has just been apprehended by the FDLE in connection with a number of murders, including the murder of a ACLU attorney. He was captured in the Miramar area. Stay tuned to your news station for further coverage. We now return you to your regularly scheduled broadcast. Still in progress. Jessica stares in a brief rage, crying as she moves through the broken doorway and into the front yard. Billy is cuffed, looking at her from inside the rear of the Broward Sheriff Police Unit. The crowd begins to break up as news teams are held back by police, asked not to bother her. She walks toward the car where Billy is and reaches out to touch the glass near him. He moves his head close to the glass as the car starts. An officer sees her near the cruiser and shouts, "Miss, move away from the car." She ignores him and he lunges ahead to push her away. She is near the curb and as the officer approaches her, she begins to fall. The cop believes she is trying to fight and uses his nightstick, whacking her hard on the neck. Jessica's eyes are drawn toward the sky. She sees high above the clouds a great bird circling, soaring. Billy sees her look, then looks toward the sky as she falls onto the front yard. Billy is furious, shouting, "Get away from her." Then looking up he sees the eagle, circling high above. The great white bird is there and there for them. There is an ascending point of view, lifting swiftly, watching what is going down in the front yard. Quickly it lifts up high. The street trod is there. Jessica is there, on her back, sprawled out on the front yard. Higher and higher it climbs. Mrs. Severson comes rushing from the home as neighbors and news teams watch on. Jessica lays still, gazing toward the skies, encircling the scene toward the heavens. The viewpoint climbs, ever ascending, and is being watched over, as if by God. The view, eventually, becomes the lofty eagle itself, now in slow motion, eternally soaring. Its huge, 12-foot wings are sweeping strokes of transparent light as the magnificent, screaming white eagle flies, now seemingly into the timeless abyss of infinity itself, forever ascending toward the sun. The end.